Kroya Loj, a cursed supporting character, is forced to seduce the enemy to survive. She chooses a one-year contract marriage with Diallo Argenta to avoid her tragic fate. The marriage for convenience gradually spirals out of control, filled with tension and allure. As the deadline approaches, Diallo reveals his dark, possessive nature. Kroy must choose between escaping or being drawn into their dangerous love. Join Lisa MANHWA and follow the development of this fascinating story. Duke Aloz, with a sharp look on his face, holds an item and begins his warning. Listen carefully, Kroya. Even if you are just an insect, you must do something for the benefit of the family. A bareback appears with the words Diallo Argenta and droplets of blood. Duke Aloz issues an order. From now on, you will become Diallo Argenta's fake pharaoh, the head of the fire tribe. Aloz stands tall, demanding, you must take his first 3 knights and isolate Argenta's position. Kroya kneels at his feet. Kroya kneels on the floor as Aloz's command emphasizes, and contribute to the prosperity of our Aloz family, the water family. If you fail, a tragic death awaits you. Understand. Kroya's face is full of sorrow, her eyes filled with tears. Tears stream down her cheeks. The large wooden carriage wheels are moving. Her eyes are tightly closed, one hand covering her pained face. The carriage is pulled by a person with 2 white horses. A voice rings out, What is it? Kroya lightly touches the mirror, gazing at her appearance. She exclaims, this memory, this appearance. This is clearly the story from the novel I read. Through the reflection in the mirror, she suddenly realizes, don't tell me. I have transmigrated into the book, and even as Kroya Aloz, the illegitimate daughter of the villain family. Damn it, out of all people, why did I have to be reborn as Kroya Aloz? A symbol shaped like wings appears, Dark R19 novel, 3 Duke families. The plot revolves around, the central premise of this novel lies in the unique inheritance method of the 3 Duke families. 3 symbols represent the 3 largest forces in the story. A mark appears on the strongest person, designating them as the next head of the family. And to fully inherit their power, each current head must spend their first night with their destined partner, called a pharaoh, whose name is magically inscribed on their body. However, if a woman who is not the destined pharaoh takes their first night, they will only be able to live their lives with half their power, never inheriting it fully. And even if they later bond with their true pharaoh, it will be meaningless. Kroya grabs tightly onto her left shoulder, exclaiming, damn it, becoming a pharaoh can't be faked just by carving a name on the body. And more than anything, Kroya seems to be sinking into the cold water. She will die at the hands of the Aloz when the real pharaoh appears. She sits in the carriage, her eyes showing a sharp and determined look. No, I can't die like that. Kroya's feet are stepping down from the carriage. She asserts her resistance. Transmigrating into this body was bad enough. How can I just sit still and wait to die like an idiot? No way. Kroya appears magnificent in the morning sun, her face radiating determination. At this point, I have no choice but to follow the original story. I have to survive at Argenta, no matter what. Her eyes look cold and calculating. And there is only one way for me to achieve that. She stands before a magnificent, luxurious castle. Diallo appears with a gentle smile. He softly introduces himself, I am Diallo Argenta, Miss Kroya Aloz. One can only be stunned by his beauty. It seems as if there is light around him, enhancing his beauty. Kroya's mouth drops open, and she brings her hands up to cover her face, exclaiming, oh my god, of course, the friendly, innocent male lead. Kroya and Diallo sit across from each other in a room of the mansion. Kroya takes the initiative to speak, I have something I want to discuss privately with the Duke. Diallo does not hesitate and orders his guards, leave us. With a sharp and serious look, Kroya formally calls out, Duke Diallo Argenta. Diallo responds with a meaningful smile, yes, Miss Kroya Aloz. Kroya does not beat around the bush but goes straight to the point, actually, I did not come here to be your bride. Diallo's hands, which are holding the teapot and pouring tea, suddenly stop. Diallo immediately regains his composure and asks directly, you mean you want to cancel the engagement? Kroya sits up straight, facing Diallo directly, affirming her purpose, no, I came here as a dealer, until your true pharaoh appears. His usually calm eyes now show clear surprise. Kroya, with a sharp look, places a hand on her chest, confidently stating, as your shield and contract fiancé, I will help you become the strongest head of the family. In exchange, I want you to help overthrow the Aloz family, who threw me away to be a temporary pharaoh. Diallo is silent, his face becoming more unpredictable. His hands take a hold of the cup and says just now. Diallo raises the teacup and takes a small sip with a thoughtful expression, you said until the real pharaoh appears. He is utterly confused because he personally confirmed the mark, I saw my name inscribed on your back, and now, for some reason, you suddenly claim to be a fake. But what you are saying is that Duke Aloz deceived me. Diallo smiles slightly, raising his hand to gently touch his chin. Diallo makes a statement, if that is the case, then we can't sit here and continue talking in peace, can we? She lowers her head, clasping her hands tightly on her lap. She says to herself, I know, that revealed that I am a fake pharaoh, but Argenta will have countless reasons to wage war with Elos. Kroya's long purple hair and graceful back in her ball gown, she continues to explain, I know that. If I really intended to continue deceiving you, then yes, that is how things would be. Kroya's feet rise from the chair, walking confidently. Kroya walks to a large wooden table where many documents and a bottle of medicine are placed. Diallo sits on the sofa, but his eyes are fixed on Kroya, while Kroya's eyes are focused on the bottle of medicine on the table. Kroya stands in front of Diallo, holding up the bottle of medicine. Kroya's hands are opening the bottle cap. His eyes reveal a look of shock, a bottle of healing ointment. Kroya takes the bottle and decisively pours the liquid on her back. Diallo immediately stands up with a shocked expression, you are. Kroya calmly declares, the name Diallo Argenta inscribed on my back. Kroya reaches behind her back to loosen the straps of her ball gown. She stands straight, her eyes looking sideways with determination. Kroya's bare back is revealed, that name was forcibly carved on. Diallo freezes, his face revealing tension. Kroya says with a smirk, doesn't that prove that I am not your real pharaoh? Diallo stands still, his eyes still fixed on the bottle of medicine. His eyes are sharp and cold at this moment. Diallo admits, I know Argenta is unpredictable, but I did not think it would be to this extent. Do you think Argenta would let someone who tries to deceive the family head live? Kroya's bright red dress stands opposite Diallo's firm feet. He does not accept her, no, I would not be allowed to survive, but... The blue magic potion bottle is placed on the wooden table. Kroya declares clearly, I am not going to follow Duke Elos' plan. Even if I did, I know better than anyone that neither side would let me survive. Kroya stands directly opposite Diallo, not hesitating to point out, and the current head of Argenta is known as the weakest. That is exactly why both Elos and Cardio look down on Argenta. Kroya looks directly into Diallo's eyes and repeats the offer, let me say it again, marry me, just for 1 year. Diallo looks at Kroya with a thoughtful and surprised expression. Kroya emphasizes, until your real pharaoh appears, we will keep both families safe, and when your power awakens, destroy Elos. Kroya looks straight at Diallo and makes her only condition, in return, I want you to protect me, Duke. That is the condition of my deal. Diallo's eyes are now full of thought. Diallo raises a hand to gently touch his lips and speaks, you, who came here under the orders of Duke Elos. Diallo moves closer, bending down to look directly into Kroya's eyes, tell me what I need to do to earn your trust, Miss Kroya. Kroya's eyes, with long, sharp eyelashes, show no fear. She admits, I came to Argenta alone, and I can't protect myself here. In other words, Kroya makes an assertion, it is your choice, Duke Diallo, whether you will use me to turn this crisis into an opportunity. Diallo gives a slight smile, full of confidence and somewhat dangerous. A satisfied smile on his lips. Diallo gives a brief answer, very well. The golden ropes decorating his ceremonial attire flutter slightly. Kroya looks up at Diallo, slightly stunned. Diallo moves closer, his hands gently touching Kroya's shoulders, taking the initiative to conclude the matter, let us get married. A pair of feet is walking on the floor. A slender hand gently knocks on the wooden door from inside the room. A voice rings out, come in. Diallo sits on the chair of power, directly asking PL, has it been confirmed? PL officially reports to Diallo that, yes, the name carved on her back is fake. She reacted to the healing ointment, and the traces faded away. Diallo puts his quill pen on his chin, his face showing a cold expression. Diallo remains silent. Kroya repeats her request for marriage, marry me, just for 1 year, take advantage of me, until you find your true pharaoh and regain your power. Diallo stands opposite. His face showing contemplation. Kroya, with a slight smile full of confidence, affirms her value, I am the key to Elos and Cardio lowering their guard. Diallo, with tightly pursed lips and deep eyes. Diallo is well aware of his tragic situation, regain my power, I am not sure what you are basing that on, but Argenta currently has no power at all because I inherited the title of the family. Kroya stands opposite Diallo in her bright red dress and immediately interrupts, no, there is still a way to prevent that. Diallo asks a bitter question, even if my family does not believe in it. From outside the window to where Diallo and Kroya stand facing each other. Kroya refutes, if you were truly lacking in power, the other families would have eliminated you already. And Argenta has the highest intelligence among the 3 families. It won't take long to find your true pharaoh. She smiles and reaches out her hand as an invitation for cooperation, I believe in your abilities, Duke Diallo. Diallo puts the blue quill pen into a jar. Diallo raises his hand to cover half his face, wondering to himself, make a deal with my enemy. Kroya, with her bright pink-purple hair. Diallo notices a change, she feels completely different from the last time we met. Diallo performs the act of sealing a letter. He wonders, is this the real person she has been hiding all this time? Diallo is holding the letter in his hand with a sharp look. The back of a man in noble attire. The letter begins with a respectful line, "To the esteemed Duke Diello Argenta." The next content of the letter clarifies, transfer 50% of the income from Argenta's main mines and agricultural land to the Alos family as a title subsidy for Duchess Croia. The letter makes an additional request, in addition, deploy 100 knights from Alos at Tila Pass, a strategic point between Alos and Argenta, which has recently been attacked by monsters. Diello, sitting reading the letter at his desk, realizes the boundless ambition of the head of the Alos family. He not only wants Croia's subsidy transferred to Alos, but also wants to create a strategic advantage for himself. Diello's sharp eyes with a murderous look. The letter makes a request, finally, allow Croia to visit the Alos house at least once a month. Having to send away such a precious daughter. I can't stop worrying. Diello gives a knowing smirk, precious daughter. Diello's hands hold the quill pen and write decisively, daughter, what a joke, sending her to the enemy as a sacrifice. Diello calls his trusted subordinate and gives clear instructions, from now on, you will personally serve the future Duchess. One more thing. PL bows respectfully in response, yes, master. Diello, with a confident half-smile, holds the letter in his hand and speaks, give the Alos family everything they ask for. The workers are carrying large beams and working on high scaffolding. Regarding this excessive investment, there is a comment that, building such a construction for the wedding. This is too extravagant. PL standing behind confirms, she will definitely become the center of attention at the party tonight, Miss Croia. Croia's expression is extremely beautiful and somewhat melancholic. PL continues to explain, it has been a while since there has been a marriage between the three Duke families. PL, while getting her hair combed, Croia reveals the reason behind it, and above all, everyone will think we fell in love and got married after a romantic affair, right, PL? PL's face freezes, as if she is surprised. PL from behind with her hair being combed shows elegance and confidence. PL, chief maid of Argenta and also, a high-level agent. PL in a very professional fighting stance holding two sharp daggers, her job is to eliminate all threats to Argenta. The definition of her true role is, the path clearer. PL Chibi appears with a gentle smile, while Croia's face is pale and sweating profusely. I have only read half of the original story, but I know one thing. When Croia Alos is revealed to be a fake, PL is assigned to take her head. Looking at herself in the mirror, Croia decides, the deal with Diello must be kept secret. If anyone knows, it must be PL. I have to check. PL's hand is meticulously putting on earrings for Croia. She calls, PL. PL respectfully replies, yes, Miss Croia Alos. Croia begins a direct question, you were sent here to serve me, by Duke Diello Argenta, right, hands placed on Croia's shoulders, her face expressionless. PL with a deep gaze replies, yes, of course, he sent me to assist you in everything, from tonight's party to after the wedding. Her eyes are calm, reflecting calculation and composure, so Diello did plant her. He must also intend for her to protect me as well. Croia officially puts her trust in the female agent, I understand, in that case, I am counting on you. PL responds with respect, likewise, Miss Croia. PL standing behind with her arms interlocked behind her back, Croia still feels the danger, she is smiling, but I am sure she is still very vigilant. I am not here to deceive anyone. But I am still so worried. Croia's eyes reflect shock and admiration at the scene before her. The scene of the Argenta mansion lying close to the sea's edge. She whispers in her thoughts, that is, the endless sea, is not it? PL softly asks, yes, have not you ever seen it before? The emblem of the Argenta house with the image of a red shield as bright as fire, the endless sea, this area is guarded by the fire family, Argenta. The gemstone is surrounded by laurel branches and white swirling patterns, the water family, Alos, protects the endless forest. The emblem of the Cardial house with the image of an entity with many pure white wings spreading wide, the wind family, Cardial, protects the barren desert. A huge magic circle with concentric circles, these protection zones are divided based on an ancient curse. Observing the gaze standing next to Croia, PL asks a question, compared to Alos' endless forest, what do you think? Croia gives a bright smile and exclaims, it is beautiful. PL makes a statement, I heard that people of the Alos family do not like water, it does not seem to be true for the young lady. Croia looks out at the sea and replies, why would I hate water when I control it? Croia with big eyes and expression, that is right. She stands looking wistfully at the crystal wine glass and precious wine bottle. The Alos family has the ability to control water, but Croia in the novel could barely use that ability. Croia's hand is reaching towards the glass of water and the bottle of wine on the table. She says to herself, I will test that with the glass of water. The light yellow water of the wine spurts high from the mouth of the glass, undulating. Croia is startled and panicked. She exclaims, what is it? From the initial splashing water, Croia has controlled the liquid to clump together. The wine from the glass transforms into the shape of a gently undulating whale. After shaping it, Kroya controlled all the liquid back into the glass. Kroya looks down at her hand and says in her thoughts, "This is smoother than in the original description." No, it surpassed expectations. Her hand emits strong white rays of light, exclaiming in amazement, "As natural as breathing." A voice rings out, "Miss Kroya Allows, it is time to go to the banquet hall. Let us complete the final step." Kroya stands sideways, showing off her slender figure in her ceremonial attire. The tabletop where the glass of wine is full of liquid and the bottle of wine standing next to her. Kroya replies, "Understood." Kroya walks on the red carpet, a small but powerful figure. A pair of hands is gently lifting the thin white veil. The content asserts, a wedding between Allows and Argenta, shaking the entire empire. Kroya's hands appear blurred under the veil. Standing under the pure white veil, Kroya makes up her mind, "I will play the perfectly adoring wife, so much so that Duke Allows won't suspect anything." In the empire, the marriage proposal is a unique ritual. First, the future bride must appear with a white veil. In the distance, Diallo stands waiting in his elegant white uniform. Kroya calls out his name, "Duke Diallo." Diallo's eyes with long eyelashes and a deep gaze. He replies, "Miss Kroya Allows." Kroya is gradually walking towards Diallo on the red carpet. When they are facing each other, Kroya unhesitatingly reminds, "You know we need to look like the sweetest engaged couple today, do not you?" Kroya smiles meaningfully through the veil. She asks, "Do you think we can do it?" Diallo gently puts his hand on his chin considering that. Kroya sees Diallo having the expression she was thinking. He is reacting exactly as in the original story, this pure and emotional man, who can't lie to save his life. Is always confused by Kroya Allows' sudden desires and struggles to keep up, but today he can't be like that. The shadows of the two represent the secrets and conspiracies engulfing them. Diallo continues to show embarrassment with a blushing face, putting his hand over his mouth. Kroya reminds herself, "The last thing I need is a lecture from Duke Allows for not controlling my husband." Diallo stands looking at her actions with a pensive face, "Can't help it." Kroya's eyes are sharp and make a decisive request, "Then promise me one thing, I will lead, you just need to follow me." The second unique custom of marriage proposals in the empire is, the future bride does not enter with her fiancé, from the Duke family of Allows. Kroya appears with ruby eyes and a confident smile as she walks out, calling out her name, "Miss Kroya Allows." Kroya's appearance causes whispers throughout the banquet hall, with doubtful questions, thinking about the fact that the Argenta and Allows families will be connected by marriage. What, Argenta and Allows, forming an alliance, who could have imagined that? Have not you heard the news? Amidst the noisy space, Kroya secretly affirms her control, "I can hear everything, every word. I wonder how the Cardial family feels about this." The nobles remain vigilant as they remind each other, "Keep it down," but Cardial is currently, with Lord Siete as the family head, surely there won't be any problems. I wonder. Kroya, behind the thin veil, looks far away, exuding a melancholy. Siete appears, his face calm, surrounded by other nobles. Cardial, the family of wind, thanks to Siete, a family head so powerful that he is considered one of the 5 strongest in history. The family is in its golden age, and because the knights of the family become stronger in proportion to the power of their leader. Siete's face with a sad and quiet look, most monsters do not even dare to approach their territory when Siete is in power. Kroya in her pure white wedding dress, representing the newly formed alliance, but with 2 of the 3 great duke families now connected by marriage. Siete and his entourage in the shadows, representing the old forces being threatened. It is understandable that they are concerned, as Cardial's position has become much more ambiguous. Diallo's decisive footsteps on the patterned tiles. His name is called out, His Grace, Duke Diallo Argenta, enters. Diallo appears with a face showing clear masculinity. A group of young ladies with shocked eyes, one exclaims, "Oh my God." They whisper about his new appearance. The Duke of Argenta has grown up so much that he is almost unrecognizable. Kroya gives a smile, but a meaningful one, behind the thin veil. The guests stand along both sides of the aisle. Diallo gently calls out, "Kroya." Kroya looks up at him, she replies, "Yes, Duke Argenta." The third unique custom of marriage proposals in the empire. Diallo's hands gently lift Kroya's veil, the only one who can lift the bride's veil. As he lifts the veil, Diallo looks at Kroya with deep eyes. When the veil is lifted, Diallo stands facing down at her with a deep gaze, is the man who will become her husband. Diallo bends low, bringing both of them inside the veil. Her eyes reveal a look of shock mixed with confusion. "I know it is all just a show, but..." Accompanied by a secret confession, "My heart is beating a little fast." Diallo with one hand gently lifts her face and says gently, "Be my bride, Kroya Allows." Diallo leans even closer to Kroya, his eyes full of sincerity. Diallo leans down and kisses Kroya lightly on the lips. Kroya could not hide her surprise and looked directly at Diallo. She exclaimed his name in astonishment, "Diallo." At an extremely close distance beneath the veil, Diallo suddenly stopped and said, "You have no feelings for me. It would not be right if you took my first kiss." Kroya's hands gripped Diallo's shoulders tightly. Kroya's sharp face responded frankly, "Don't think of it as me taking your first kiss." In the stillness and steadfastness of her gaze, "I am completely fine with it, so then." From behind Diallo, he moved even closer to Kroya, "Let us do as you say." Beneath the veil, Diallo and Kroya shared a passionate kiss. The nobles present were shocked by the couple's audacity. One girl exclaimed, "Oh my." Diallo looked at Kroya with somber eyes, but Kroya's mind was extremely clear, exclaiming, even more passionately. In a close embrace, lips touching lips, Kroya whispered softly, "Love me." His face behind the veil was shocked, speechless. Immediately he lunged forward. Petals and sparkling grains of light surrounded them. Her arms wrapped around his head and shoulders, pulling him close. The long lace veil billowed gently, enveloping both of them. Diallo and Kroya were kissing deeply beneath the veil. Kroya's face after the kiss, her eyes were slightly glazed, her cheeks flushed. His eyes showed clear confusion, exclaiming, "Like this." Kroya's hand gripped Diallo's coat, stating without hesitation, "A moment ago, I said you should listen to my lead, did not I, so do exactly as I want." Kroya's eyes looked directly into Diallo's eyes with determination, she continued to whisper, "Be bolder." Diallo's hand lifted the back of Kroya's head powerfully, even more. He lowered his head deeply, delivering a passionate and powerful kiss. Diallo and Kroya were sharing a deep kiss. Two ladies watching the ceremony, their eyes full of shock, she exclaimed, "Oh my." The nobles gathered in groups to discuss, how could two families, who have been sworn enemies for so long, become the most praised couple in society overnight? One lady made a comment about this unexpected situation, "It is true that you can't predict anything about people, indeed, that is true." Diallo at this time looked at Kroya with a more gentle and adoring gaze. The people around acknowledged, "Truly very beautiful, the two of them." Through the large window, Diallo appeared alone under the sunset sky. A voice rang out from outside, "Duke Diallo." Diallo called, "Come in." Silas opened the door and entered the room, reporting the situation, "As you predicted, Your Grace, your appearance today has caused a great stir among the upper class." Standing in front of the window in the twilight, Diallo replied, "Perhaps it is thanks to the young lady's enthusiasm. Miss Kroya Allows has also attracted attention." Silas smiled gently as he reported, "But most of the talk is about you, Your Grace." His eyes showed clear agitation and immersion in his thoughts, "Because you showed a very different side compared to your usual image, sir." Diallo in his youth, his eyes expressing melancholy, weak, behind him were faces with sharp, judgmental eyes, of course they would react like that. Diallo concluded, "Then I think they also viewed our appearance today positively." Silas still maintained a respectful posture, affirming, "That is correct, sir. Rumors about the two of you being a sweet couple have already spread." Diallo stood by the large window and continued to speak, "Good, the more rumors the better, fan the flames even higher, be more careful so that we are not exposed." Silas bowed respectfully in response, "Yes, Your Grace, I will report back to Arzentia." The door to the room was closed. Diallo raised his hand to cover his mouth, showing that he was immersed in recollection. Diallo's hand was stroking his lips. In Diallo's mind, Kroya's words echoed again, "I am fine with it, so let us go even deeper." Kroya looked up at Diallo with a knowing smile. Kroya continued to push the limits further, even more than now. Diallo bent his head close to Kroya, his face showing clear astonishment and agitation. The sentence, "Try to love me." Diallo's eyes widened with a shaken look. Kroya's slightly parted lips and the lower part of her face. Diallo's hand was tightening on the veil fabric. Diallo's and Kroya's lips touched passionately. Diallo's hand lifted his chin and pressed Kroya's face closer. Diallo again raised his hand to touch his chin, softly calling out the name, Kroya Allows. Diallo stood in a thoughtful pose, one hand raised to gently touch his lips. He said to himself, "So it is not just me who is acting." Recalling a Kroya with a melancholic and quiet beauty, he drew a conclusion in his thoughts. "The Kroya Allows I have seen until now is just a facade, her true self is." She gently lifted the veil, giving a confident smile, "I will lead, you just need to follow me." His face was stern, but his eyes shone with thoughtfulness. "Like this, the fact that Kroya Allows revealed her true self in front of me." The back of Diallo stood looking out the window. He made an observation, "Must mean that she is betting everything on this, both of us are doing that." From the maids with brooms sweeping, gathering in groups of 5 to exchange information, to the male staff standing and chatting. Different corners of the mansion, from the hallway to the carved wooden staircase area, it is not normal for the servants. Kroya was soaking in the bathtub. She wondered, to be so excited just because their master is about to get married, is not it? PL stood beside the bathtub preparing herbs to serve her. Strangely, everyone seems to be in a good mood. Even while enjoying the care in the bathtub, Kroya thought to herself, "It is not like they do not know how unpleasant I can be." Kroya found comfort when she acknowledged, "Seeing everyone happy for the engagement is not so bad." At this moment, PL's face smiled gently. The story asserts, Arzentia's Vanguard is a title. Behind the characters is a large circle with rays of light radiating outwards, for those who have a deep connection with Arzentia, and have never betrayed it. All the people belonging to this family, that means, every member of the Arzentia Duke family, now knows about our engagement. PL carefully helped Kroya bathe, pouring more essential oil into the bathwater. Kroya realized that, it seems like they put a lot of hope after seeing us together. Because we look like a super sweet newlywed couple. PL's hand lifted her hand out of the tub, exactly, so then. Kroya spoke up calling, PL, what do you think? PL's face was highly focused. Kroya secretly analyzed, but I need to know what it looks like to someone who also knows the truth. It is not the nobles we need the fire, Duke Aloj is also a part of that. PL was kneeling serving beside Kroya in the bathtub. PL responded, from the perspective of someone who knows the truth, what does our engagement look like? She touched the red glass perfume bottle, it is wonderful. PL gave an assessment, even for me, it is generally convincing enough to be real. Kroya's eyes shone with sharpness and determination, it seems like she is not lying, so it is a success. A pair of feet was walking quickly on the floor. An announcement, urgent. Kroya and PL's faces revealed surprise at this abrupt intrusion. Kroya and PL's faces revealed shock and worry. The content of the message, Area 3 of the Endless Sea has been breached. Kroya repeated the information with disbelief, the third area of the Endless Sea has been breached, what happened? PL bowed her head slightly in response, I will investigate it. Knights wearing red cloaks were gathering and moving quickly along the hallway. The maid called loudly, Lady PL. PL immediately went straight to the point, what is the situation? Kroya stood in the middle of the hall questioning, she is asking about the situation first, did she suspect this would happen? The maid directly delivered the news, the defense line at the Endless Sea has collapsed. PL asked a questioning question, collapsed completely. The maid immediately replied, not exactly. Kroya crossed her arms in front of her chest with sharp and determined eyes, even if it is a contract marriage, I will be the lady of this place, there is no reason for me to back down. A creature shaped like an octopus with countless large tentacles full of suction cups surrounding it, 2 units of monsters have attacked Area 3. Monsters shaped like white sharks with sharp teeth, the first attacking unit has a much larger number than normal, Commander Roa, who is stationed on the spot, has focused on stopping the larger force, but... The maid continued to explain, they said the second wave of monsters also has an overwhelming number, and the defense line collapsed almost immediately. PL raised her hand to her chin concentrating and speculating, so the number of monsters far exceeds the troop numbers, yes, according to the knights present. It seems that several different groups of monsters have joined forces, many, monster groups. Kroya suddenly realized she had information about this incident, thinking, I remember this part, the monsters near the Endless Sea are acting unusually, although I do not remember it being described in much detail. But, how does a maid know the battlefield so well? They do not report things like that to the maids. But everyone on this floor, both knights and staff, seem to be saying the same thing. Kroya brought her hand to her lips, her eyes filled with suspicion. PL spoke, it seems the last defense line has held firm, how was it handled, have reinforcements arrived? The maid immediately replied, the criminal Roa took full responsibility and plunged into the midst of the monsters. Kroya's eyes clearly showed shock as she repeated the word, criminal, alright, immediately write an urgent report. The response, understood. Kroya asked a big question, why is he being called a criminal? She continued, he sacrificed himself to take responsibility, did not he do his job right? The knights, with perplexed faces, remained silent. Kroya's face at this time revealed tension, moreover, instead of honoring Roa, everyone is just acting as if it is obvious. She gave a straightforward explanation, because, to be blunt, he did not complete his mission. PL's face explained sternly further, if he had not bought time with his own body, if he had not bought time with his own body. Then she raised her finger as if emphasizing, perhaps you find it strange, perhaps you have never seen anything like this at a lodge, right? PL seemed quite surprised that Kroya was concerned, lady, are you asking why he is a criminal? Her eyes did not avoid her, clearly expressing her determination to find out. Her eyes closed slightly as if expressing respect, at Arzentia, we follow an absolute code of conduct. Her face showed seriousness, her eyes steadfast, achieved it. PL said with a somber face, or did not achieve it. Kroya secretly thought, I have heard, no, I have seen these words before. Achieved it, or did not achieve it, a place where, if a person does not complete their mission, they are expected to sacrifice their life, and even if they do, they still die as a criminal. Someone who has sworn allegiance to the head of a noble family, can use the power of that family, and that power changes a lot depending on the abilities of the master. In all the lineage of Arzentia, Diallo possesses the greatest strength. Even without a pharaoh, his strength is completely overwhelming, that is probably how Roa could go crazy with the power of Arzentia, and block such a swarm of monsters. Kroya bowed her head thinking, asking a question, so even if he sacrificed his life to stop the monsters, if he did not do it right, then it is no different than doing nothing. PL smiled and gave a compliment. Lady, you grasp things quite quickly. Croya with a sad but determined face began to realize that Diallo deliberately showing weakness is probably just part of his long-term plans, and the cruel nature of Arzencha's customs must have played a role. For someone with such a gentle nature as him, it must be even more painful. Diallo's hands were holding a pen, writing on paper extremely decisively. Diallo sat at the table attentively reading and processing the towering stacks of documents. Therefore, Roa recklessly used Arzencha's power and died. Diallo held the paper with an extremely calm face, his eyes cold. He exclaimed, "The corpse, it is in irrecoverable condition." Diallo issued a decisive order to the guard, "Bury him right in front of the endless sea." The guard replied, "Understood." Diallo's hand was holding a piece of paper, adding, "In addition, Lady Croya Alos has received the news, and..." The subordinate reported that Croya had asked something. She asked why Roa was considered a criminal. His eyes shone with sharpness and thoughtfulness as he listened, and she seemed quite surprised. Diallo issued a final instruction, "All right, you may leave." Siete bowed, replying, "Yes, Your Grace." Diallo tilted his head back, closing his eyes as if to seek a moment of rest. Immediately after the subordinate left, Diallo immediately made a decision. "We will need a new commander for Area 3. His hand brought to his chin, his eyes thoughtful. After moments of silent contemplation, Diallo asked a calculating question, "What should I do with that priest?" Croya sat with her back turned, looking out at the large window flooded with sunlight. Her eyes no longer had a sharp look, but instead a distant gaze. Come to think of it, the wedding is coming soon. When did it get so close? The room was decorated splendidly on the walls and doors. A voice rang out, "Lady Croya Alos, may I come in?" Croya turned around with a bright smile, replying, "Come in, PL." PL entered the room with a calm and polite expression. She asked, "Sorry to bother you, has the lady finished her tea?" Croya replied briefly, "Finished." PL pushed a wooden cart piled high with papers and documents. She exclaimed in surprise, "What is that?" PL explained that this is documents for the project led by Arzencha. This is the full scope of operations, so it will take quite a while to review everything. Croya repeated PL's words with disbelief. "What, the full scope?" Croya tried to stop PL with cautious words. Wait a minute, PL, I am just passing through, you know that. Is it really okay for me to write all the internal operations of Arzencha? Anyway, it is not that I want to know." Contrary to her mistress' anxiety, PL replied decisively, "Yes, you must know. Now, please allow me to clear the table for a moment." PL began to lift the stacks of documents and place them on Croya's tea table, speaking, "The lady of a noble family is not only responsible for collecting intelligence from social circles. She must also manage the family's public image and internal affairs." Then she explained clearly and firmly, "That is why Lady Croya Alos needs to understand all of Arzencha's ongoing projects. Only then can the lady properly fulfill her role as the lady." The thick stacks of documents with densely written lines, "All projects," that means even the underground operations as well, so they are telling me that they will entrust me with all the information. Whether it is dirty or not, even the family's darkest secrets. Croya looked at PL with concerned eyes and asked directly, "Are you sure it is okay to teach me all these things?" PL replied with an undeniable affirmation, "That is the will of your master." Croya asked again in astonishment, "You mean, this is Diallo's will?" Croya leaned back in her armchair, raising her hands to her head with a darkened face, thinking, "Diallo, he has not forgotten that I am a fake pharaoh, has he? He knows I have to back off when the real one appears. This guy, he is too kind, really too kind." She turned to look at PL with hopeful eyes and asked, "PL, you do not object to this, do you?" PL replied with a radiant smile, "Of course, I completely agree." PL immediately started working. "All right then, let us start with the southern subdivision projects." Croya only managed to exclaim in despair, "PL, wait. This feels like fraud, like I am carrying out a large-scale scam." The atmosphere around was very lively due to the crowd. Conversations, exclamations rang out. "I heard the building was built just for the wedding. I am really looking forward to the magnificence of this wedding." That is right. It is truly a historical moment. At this time, in the middle of the luxurious room, servants were meticulously adjusting Diallo's attire. He slowly put on his gloves, his face cold and expressionless. Duke Alos then slowly approached. "Duke Diallo." His face looked slightly pleased, his tone calm. "Duke Alos, everything seems to be going very smoothly." Duke Alos stepped forward and patted Diallo on the shoulder, a gentle smile. "Please take good care of my daughter, she has many shortcomings but..." He immediately raised his voice resolutely, "Of course." His eyes carried complex emotions. "Now we are bound by marriage, it is time to put aside our long-standing grievances. Please cherish my daughter as your loving wife." Diallo lowered his voice reassuringly, "Certainly, please do not worry too much." Then Ducalos turned and left. Well, I will see you later. He also politely replied, yes, we will see you soon. Diallo then bowed his head, his expression looking slightly heavy. Outside the main hall, the guests were all very excited. Everything is about to start. I am really looking forward to seeing the two of them too. Ducalos is coming. He led the group, appearing with a dignified air. Excited voices, joyful laughter rang out. Congratulations Ducalos, you have built a great relationship. What better reason to celebrate than this? Ducalos then sat down to rest. Thank you for everyone's concern. Please excuse me for a moment. He respectfully spoke. Yes, please sit. He waved his hand slightly. Spiritual energy immediately swirled. A stream of water immediately flowed through the castle. Oh my, the water, as expected from Alos, the water family. The calm stream of water suddenly appeared with shimmering ripples. Look, there are even small lights reflecting on the water's surface. It is truly very beautiful. Diallo slowly appeared. Please welcome the bride and groom. Croya in her magnificent wedding dress was also entering the wedding hall. She slowly walked towards him. The eyes of the two met. The space was briefly quiet. Croya suddenly avoided eye contact, her appearance full of embarrassment. Ducalos watched calmly with deep eyes. Her face looked slightly heavy, falling into contemplation. Looking at their reactions, it seems like the plan with Diallo has not been discovered. Croya's eyes turned to the left, the seating area on the groom's side. She immediately sighed, her face looking somewhat complicated, all empty, just like I thought. Croya fell into contemplation. Based on the original story, Ducalos must have killed them. She turned to the man who was standing by her side, Diallo. Croya helplessly followed, wondering, does he know that Ducalos is the culprit? She turned with helpless eyes, heavy, however you look at it, he does not seem to know. If he really knew, he would not marry the daughter of the enemy who killed his parents. Croya secretly decided, her eyes became strong. Poor man, I will help him eliminate Ducalos even with just this little strength. The priest spoke in a gentle voice, carrying dignity. We will now proceed with the wedding of Duke Diallo Argenta and Lady Croya Alos. The corners of their lips slowly blossomed into a smile, their appearance hesitant. Here, the two will promise to be forever connected as one. Now, may the wedded couple exchange their vow kiss. The water formed an arch that looked very romantic. Diallo suddenly knelt down, that is. His eyes carried respect. Croya fell into contemplation. The seal of the Argenta family has been hidden until now. More precisely, it prevents the abilities of the family head from developing. If the true pharaoh purifies that seal, the power of the family head will burst forth. But if someone who is not a pharaoh takes it, the abilities of that head will no longer increase. Diallo and I must protect it. Diallo's hand gently lifted Croya's face as if cherishing a priceless treasure. My beloved bride. A deep and passionate kiss was given. His deep voice rang out beside her ear, carrying an irresistible charm. We should look a little sweeter, should not we? The corners of her mouth slightly tilted up, her voice soft and enchanting, of course. Diallo took another step, the distance between them almost disappeared. Then, this time, I will lead you. The witnessing guests could not hide their embarrassment, admiration. He suddenly looked at Croya with sincere eyes, carrying reverence. Thank you, Croya, for marrying me. As soon as Diallo picked Croya up high, the atmosphere was about to explode. Oh my God. Her eyes carried a complicated expression, a happy smile. Diallo, today, is truly a great success. The luxurious carriage was quickly brought over. He put his arm around Croya, his tone indifferent. We will depart right now. Ducalos smiled congratulating. I hope the two of you will enjoy your honeymoon. The two quickly moved into the car. Diallo waved his hand slightly and ordered, let us go. He replied respectfully, yes. His eyes carried complex emotions, a deep voice, we should go too. He gently took her hand and opened his mouth naturally. It seems the wedding was held very smoothly. Croya smiled politely, wasn't it? It was completely successful. Her eyes carried a hint of meaning, her tone teasing. Now we just need to keep Diallo's purity intact. Diallo immediately became shy, avoiding eye contact. I am so sorry. Croya then said to herself, her appearance relaxed. Don't worry, Diallo, tonight, I will just hold your hand. Her face could not help but show surprise, muttering to herself, it seems the rumor that Argenta has a lot of money is true. He built an entire castle just for the wedding. A luxurious, magnificent villa appeared, and now, a villa for the honeymoon. He turned, his eyes seemed to be immersed. Do you like it? Croya could not help but exclaim, yes, it is really beautiful. Diallo said in a gentle voice, if you see the scenery on the rooftop, you will like it even more. She happily immersed herself in happiness. Really, Diallo, I want to go up there right now. All right, let us go. The servant witnessing the overflowing sweetness paused slightly. Listening to the sound of the waves soothed people, the scenery of the sea and forest blended together, it was really beautiful. Croya's eyes carried a look of enjoyment, she softly opened her mouth. This place is located in the middle of the border of the Argenta and Alos families, right? He was immersed in her appearance, that is right. A kiss immediately fell. Tomorrow morning we will have a quiet breakfast here. Kroya also smiled in response. All right, I will tell them to prepare in that direction. The eyes of the two maids became complicated, murderous intent radiated around them. She respectfully opened her mouth. We have already arranged all the luggage, madam. She turned, her appearance satisfied. Very good. Kroya entered a moment of contemplation. Among the people following us, there are many maids from Alos. They must have received the task of monitoring us. Diallo leaned closer, gently speaking. The luggage has been arranged properly. Would you like to rest for a while or take a walk around the mansion? She smiled in response. That sounds nice. We will appear with a look of being madly in love. Scene change. Night gradually fell. The room decisively closed. The space was slightly quiet. Kroya sighed softly, her appearance weary. Being watched all day is really tiring. He then spoke in a heavy voice. Without a doubt, their gaze is really sharp. She softly exclaimed, her eyes closely observing. Indeed, the facilities here make people feel a bit stuffy, but even if it is just a hastily built villa, this building is surprisingly large. Diallo then replied, I also heard that they built it very airy, with plenty of space. He poured wine into the glass, his appearance relaxed, but honestly, I did not expect I would have to go around so much. The red wine carried a bit of ambiguous atmosphere. Diallo's deep voice rang out beside her ear, carrying an irresistible charm. If it is there to be drunk, then it must be drunk, right? Kroya also happily accepted it, smiling. That is right. She spoke in a determined voice. Until the true pharaoh appears, let us try our best, shall we? The corners of his mouth slightly tilted up with meaning. That is right. The two glasses clinked together, carrying an ambiguous atmosphere. Kroya was slightly surprised, exclaiming softly, it is so sweet and fragrant. She continued to raise the glass, her appearance pleased. Can I have another glass? All right. Kroya's eyes gradually became hazy, her voice seductive. Let us have another glass, shall we? Diallo then smiled indulgently. That is unfortunate, the glass I just drank was the last bottle. The eyes of the two met, the space briefly froze. Then a helpless laugh rang out. His eyes carried a complex expression, his voice deep. Then, I think we should not stay here. Diallo's hand gently lifted up. His eyes seemed like a deep pit, his appearance full of charm. Come here. Kroya hesitantly sat on the bed, her eyes slightly avoiding. The two lay facing each other, the space unusually quiet. Her eyes carried a complicated expression. The real pharaoh will come in 2 months. Kroya seemed to be immersed in Diallo's eyes. If I say the exact time the pharaoh arrives, it will definitely arouse suspicion, so I only mentioned vaguely that the contract will last 1 year. In the next 2 months I will have to leave this place. Her hand slowly gently brushed past his eyes. Diallo gently spoke, is there something strange in my eyes? Kroya softly exclaimed, no, it is just, they are very beautiful, so beautiful, these eyes, like the ocean. She said in a deep voice, her eyes still attentive, even if we are not a real couple, I can still say you are very beautiful, right, but the real ocean will be deeper and darker than this. Knowing that, but standing from afar, the ocean also looks like this, right? His eyes also looked intently, the ocean viewed from afar, perhaps you are right. Diallo lowered his voice, this honeymoon is also very great, peaceful and warm, I am glad you are satisfied, Lady Kroya. Kroya then questioned, her appearance lovely, Lady Kroya, I am not a lady anymore. Her eyes were full of charm, to look like a real husband and wife, should not we be a little closer, come on, let us practice, call me by my name. Her eyes seemed to be immersed, her voice deep, Kroya, Alos. Kroya raised her eyebrows, her appearance helpless, why did you add Alos, it sounds so distant, Kroya, first try. Diallo's cheeks immediately became hot, his eyes as if immersed, Kroya. She then laughed excitedly, her appearance satisfied, great, you passed the test. Kroya spoke in a heavy voice, her face full of seriousness, as promised, I won't do anything to take away your purity, but to deceive those who are monitoring us. We must spend evenings together like tonight, everything will have to be like this. She suddenly hesitated, her eyes slightly doubtful, but I have something I want to ask. Diallo lowered his voice, what is it? Kroya slowly moved closer, her breath close to his ear, whispering something very softly. He then sat up, his tone hesitant, are you sure you do not, Kroya, her eyes becoming resolute, sure, I have to do that. Kroya's voice became heavy, people still say there is a saying about the Argenta family. She spoke in a determined voice, either do it, or do not do it. Kroya's hand gently touched his skin, if you really do it, then do it well. Diallo then lowered his center of gravity. His back blocked her. In the large campus. PL smiled pouring tea for Kroya. She smiled explaining, this is laurel tea, it can help you lose weight. Hearing this Kroya raised her head and smiled, thank you, bring Diallo a cup, he is working in the office. Then she softly exclaimed, he must be tired with all that work. I understand, madam. The cup of tea was held up. Kroya thought, at least those annoying followers of Alos will be out today, I can finally relax a bit. Then tried to cheer herself up, just a little bit more, try to hold on. She seemed to have discovered something, so she gently glanced behind her. Hearing a strange noise, Croya thought to herself, a child's cry. A crying boy appeared running towards her. While still moving forward, he suddenly stopped. Only to see PL blocking his path and saying sternly, she is not someone you can approach so carelessly, who are you? He burst into tears and begged Croya, please, help me. PL gently turned her head to ask, Madam, what should we do? She was silent for a moment, then gently raised her hand, come here. Then gently asked, little boy, why are you crying? He burst into tears and replied, Mother, I can't find my mother. Croya gently wiped away his tears and continued to ask, your mother, he replied, she came here with me, but... Hearing this she looked at PL wondering, did any of the servants bring a child here? PL replied, no, madam, no one in the Argenta house did that. Before she could react, he rushed forward and hugged her tightly, Mother. Croya gently comforted, don't cry, little boy. Then she looked up at PL and spoke her intention, I know you are scared but this is not okay at all, I will go with the boy to find his mother. Hearing this she hesitated replying, but what about the madam's safety then? Croya's face gently smiled, it is okay, I trust both Elos and Argenta. In her mind she thought, of course now because neither side has a reason to harm me. Ignoring PL's slightly worried face, she still held the boy's hand intending to leave, but, to prevent everyone from worrying, do not tell anyone about this. Then Croya turned back smiling looking at her, PL, I trust you. Seeing this PL's face suddenly became stunned with surprise. Croya replied, moreover, what can a child do? Finally she compromised and agreed, yes, but as a precaution, I will assign someone. Seeing him cry louder Croya waved her hand preparing to leave, it seems like the child is not familiar with strangers, I have to go quickly. The two gently went outside. Croya suddenly spoke up, are you a bit calmer now? Only to see him silently pointing his finger in one direction. She asked confusedly, have you found your mother? He was still silently looking at her. She silently continued to speculate about him, I think something has happened, the boy did not even need to try to get through the strict security, and the way he clings to me is also really suspicious. So what exactly is going on? I think it is not impossible that this child came to harm me, I am not worried at all. Croya turned her head back to continue walking because she thought, PL must be following behind. She seemed to have discovered something and suddenly stopped. Only to see him raise his hand and gently call, Lady Croya Elos. Croya was startled and thought to herself, so he is the supervisor of the Elos house. He gently asked, did you spend the evening with Duke Argenta last night? She gently replied, surely it must be like that. He raised his hand requesting, then let me see the proof. Croya asked confusedly, proof, how can I prove it? He raised his head looking straight at her replying, anything that proves last night you and Duke Argenta were together. She compromised and gently undid her top button, alright. Thinking to herself, just right, yesterday I asked Argenta. Suddenly she remembered the image of the two of them last night. The button opened revealing the hickey on her neck. New images flashed through Croya's head, making her blush and think to herself, why are those images appearing in me? Now is not the right time to think about them. First, calm down and solve them. She opened her collar a little wider and asked, is this enough? He nodded agreeing, enough, I can confirm it without a doubt. Suddenly someone called from afar, hey. Seeing who it was he exclaimed, Mother, there you are. Then he turned back smiling, I have found my mother. After saying that he rushed to hug the person in front, Mother. Seeing this scene she absent-mindedly thought, and just in time, his mother appeared. Then Croya gently turned her body around, I guessed that they came to check. But I did not expect them to check this way, I did not think there would be a scene in the original story, where Elos confirmed about the wedding night. No, in the original story, the most noteworthy thing was when Croya decided to deceive Argenta, but the truth was, she spent the whole night with him. Thinking of this she gently placed her hand on her chest. That image appeared again in Croya's mind. At that time she lay down looking at him. Croya gently asked, Diello, these hickeys, can they be erased? Diello silently looked towards her. Then he touched Croya's skin and replied, these marks, will definitely still be here. Croya confusedly thought to herself, I do not know why these images are appearing in my mind right now, but... She blushed thinking back, he. Not being able to stand it she covered her face, why is he so good to me? Croya returned to her matter. At the same time Diello stood from afar looking down. His eyes only focused on her. Diello still silently observed. He suddenly remembered what she said from last night, I need to prepare for the unexpected situations that might occur, so, I have something I want to ask. Diello gently placed his hand on the glass and thought, how could she predict that some people would be sent from Elos? Is it because she knows exactly how careful Duke Elos can be? Or is it because she has always been on the same side as Elos? The defense barriers of Argenta are very solid. On the outside are high and sturdy walls. And on the inside are shields of protection and strong support. Croya Lowe's, because I can't fully trust you yet. I will bring you inside the protection of the Argenta family. If you are really loyal to Lowe's, you have to try to deceive us very carefully, but if you really come to join forces with Argenta. Thinking this he mumbled, then I hope you will do it seriously because you personally proposed the marriage contract to me. That night, at the large castle. Croya sat on the chair wondering, however you think about it, asking about the proof seems a bit too much, right? Anyway, what kind of proof are they hoping for, appearing like that, disguised as a child using magic? At the same time Diallo stood in front of the door looking at her. May I come in, Croya? Seeing it was him, she thought to herself, he looks careful when entering the honeymoon room. Then Croya replied, of course. Diallo sat on the bed gently apologizing, I am sorry, I could not come back to your side early today, and I am also sorry for going straight to the main tower because of urgent work. Hearing this she replied, it is okay, urgent work, Lowe's would not suspect things like that. Croya continued, even so, someone who knows nothing about Argenta like me, would look strange entering the main tower. Then she smiled optimistically, especially when I keep looking towards it. Croya gently explained, like a bride full of longing, I was anxiously waiting for his appearance, full of worries not knowing if he would come. He then looked at me like a sad bride. Diallo hearing this wondered, so I did not come down, that makes me a bad husband. She smiled replying, but surely Duke Lowe's would not feel that our marriage is solid. Suddenly Croya remembered something, speaking of Duke Lowe's. She recounted the events of today, he checked the marks from yesterday. His face unbelievably replied, the Duke himself, did that. Croya also had goosebumps agreeing, how scary, that was not him, it was someone else. Then Diallo scratched his face apologetically, I almost misunderstood Duke Lowe's. She did not see anything wrong and replied, anyway he is our enemy, why worry about misunderstanding? Croya did not care and said, anyway, thanks to that, we have overcome the first crisis. Diallo confusedly asked again, the first crisis. She glanced at him reminding, that lily mark. Then said the important sentence, the Duke is waiting for me to eliminate it. That mark will fade more and more when Diallo Argenta gives sincerity and purity to his partner. Right now, it is completely obvious, that symbol will never be erased again. Until the real pharaoh appears. Thinking this he gently placed his hand on his chest, that seems reasonable. Croya smiled reassuringly, don't worry, until the real pharaoh appears, I will still be me as I am now. She said gently, but there is one thing I need to clarify. Diallo curiously asked, what is it? Croya replied, who in the Argenta family knows our secret, I know for sure that PL knows it. Hearing her say this he confusedly looked towards Croya. She gently explained, I am not stupid enough not to realize that, if Diallo works with someone who is not smart, this will bring trouble, right? Diallo agreed, right, PL knows that. She replied, then tell me, who in the Argenta house can be completely trusted? Diallo smiled reassuring her, don't worry about that, Croya, anyone on the 4th floor of the Argenta house is trustworthy, you do not need to worry too much. Croya asked uncertainly, are you saying that all the people on the 4th floor are from the Argenta house, right? Diallo smiled innocently replying, there is really no need to worry about that. Seeing his expression she thought, is it really okay with this innocence? He gently raised his hand, a stream of energy condensed on his hand. Diallo looked at the fire on his hand gently replying, especially, those on this floor all have special abilities, you can trust them completely like real Argentas. Then he frowned tightening the fire real Argentas will know for sure what stupid betrayal will be like. Croya laughed looking at him, Diallo, everyone knows betrayal is stupid. In his mind he thought but they also know that, when betrayal is successful, it will become justice. Then he said to her, I realize your worries, Croya. Then he gently raised his finger pointing upwards, but once you understand more about the Argenta family, you will have a different view, good night, Croya. The next morning at the castle, the next day. Croya asked curiously, what is this, PL? She hearing this replied, a contract for the servants to leave to serve another family. When a former Argenta leaves here, they must ensure that they cannot reveal the family's secrets. Madam, please get the signatures of the servants who are about to leave. Croya thoughtfully thought, a contract signed by the name of the head of the family must be very important, even though I have married Diallo, is it okay to show such a contract? A relationship only bound by marriage. PL gently asked her, everyone is waiting to sign, can I let them in, madam? She held the paper replying, they are already waiting, then bring. While reading the letter in her hand Croya suddenly spoke, wait, PL. The contents of the letter clearly stated, from the moment Mirta signs this contract, he has renounced the name Argenta and will never call it again, should he try not. The fire of the leading family will burn him and everything around him, Diallo Argenta. Seeing this she worriedly thought, the fire of the leading family. Croya confusedly asked the person opposite her, PL, is this type of contract common? PL bowed her head replying, not common, but not entirely unheard of. I have not seen anyone break the contract. Croya stood up asking, is this an Argenta house tradition? She replied, that is right. Her face sadly thought, Diallo is so gentle and kind, could he really burn someone? It feels strange. Finally she replied, understood, then, let us go. Yes, PL nodded, madam. The door was opened. PL gently led her forward. Then she turned back pointing, this way. The guard beside gently grasped the door. The door opened revealing the person inside. He gently introduced, good morning, madam, it is an honor for me to meet you, my name is Mirda. Seeing this Croya thought, this is the servant I am signing the contract with, Mirda. Seeing the thing under the table she pondered, that is a quill and dagger. Paying attention to the objects on the table she wondered, but there is no ink. Croya confusedly asked, no way, PL darkened her face, you know how to sign the contract, right, Mirda? She stared intently at the table in shock, a quill without ink and a dagger. Croya worriedly thought, could the way to use it that PL mentioned be? PL handed the paper to Mirda. Holding the paper in his hand he laughed, I never expected that I would have to sign this contract. PL coldly handed him the weapon, start. Mirda replied, understood. Then he silently held the knife and cut a line on his hand. Seeing this scene she panicked and was stunned. Seeing Mirda sign on the paper she thought, so blood is the ink. Croya worriedly exclaimed, it must be very painful. Then he stood up and handed the paper to her, finished, madam. Croya replied, very good. Suddenly a voice rang out, Mirda. The person speaking continued, although I believe this will never happen. It turned out it was PL, she lightly held up the paper figure, if you break the oath. Then gently threatened, you will return to this place. She said sternly, Mirda, remember your oath. He nodded promising, I will always remember it. Then Mirda bowed, thank you for your presence, madam, it is an honor to meet you, even if only for a short time. Croya suddenly asked, but why are you leaving Argenta? He gently explained, my parents are there, they want to spend their last moments together. She nodded, I understand. Then Croya softly smiled wishing, then I hope there will only be good news from there, Mirda, goodbye. He bowed, thank you, madam. PL turned her head saying, I will be back after going out to the carriage, madam. Croya smiled gently reminding, see him off properly. The door was closed. Croya suddenly became silent. She thought to herself, clearly there is an internal problem in Argenta, it feels like an outsider like me should not interfere. Does Diallo really think that Argentas won't betray just because of this contract, but... She suddenly remembered earlier when PL explained, actually before, Mirda served the Duke. Hearing this Croya lowered her head thinking, if he served Diallo, he must have some attachment, right? It probably was also very difficult for Diallo to order him to write this contract. At the same time in the office a notification rang out outside, Duke, I brought Mirda's contract for you. He replied, come in. Croya smiled and carried the file in, I brought this magic contract here. Seeing who the person in front was, Diallo softly called, Croya. She explained, are you surprised that I came? Hearing this he laughed, a little, you accepted it early. Then gently opened the drawer, accompanying the sentence, thank you, Croya. Seeing him take something out, she thought to herself, Diallo also has a dagger. Then Diallo performed the action of summoning his fire power, she thought to herself, intuition tells me, the contract has been completed. Croya curiously asked him, he, until recently, served Diallo. He nodded replying, indeed, unfortunately. She softly spoke, Diallo, I am very worried about the traitor yesterday, but you also said that, there are no traitors at all. Her eyes looked at him full of worry, betrayal is not easy, you have to be sure that everything will succeed. Croya gently explained, and because Mirda once served Diallo, there won't be any problems happening. Diallo smiled, hopefully. Then gently raised his hand placing it on her hand. Then gently held her hand and kissed it lightly, thank you for your comfort. Diallo's eyes were full of affection, see you tonight. She froze thinking to herself, it really feels like a honeymoon. Finally Croya said goodbye, well, be careful, Diallo. After she left, he suddenly silently looked at the empty space. His eyes looked at the paper on the table. Then Diallo softly called, Rick. Rick ran in smiling, should we chase after them? He asked, yes, Mirda, no. Before he could finish speaking Diallo commanded, follow the people of Cardiel. He gently spoke about his purpose, they will be wary of Argenta during that time, then, report to Cardiel, as soon as possible, I will handle it myself. Rick smiled replying, I understand. Then Diallo pondered, since I sent Rick, Mirda will be completely under Argenta's supervision. Any action will be closely monitored. Thinking this he softly mumbled, one thing is for sure that it will succeed. The corners of Diallo's mouth slightly smiled, that is right, Croya, a person cannot betray if there is no certainty. Speaking to this point Diallo suddenly stopped, but... Then he gently glanced towards the side, the problem is they have placed their confidence in the wrong place. I assume that this fake marriage with the pharaoh is not stable at all. This is official to eliminate those internal spies. Argenta's criteria is not to forgive traitors. Suddenly a person ran in. A voice rang out, Your Grace, urgent report. Diallo replied, Come in. A soldier hastily reported, There is an abnormal phenomenon in the fourth area of the Endless Sea. Hearing this, Diallo mumbled, The fourth area. He replied, Yes, the commander of that area is requesting your presence. Seeing him report that, in Diallo's head suddenly appeared the person that he knew well, Uncle. He was suddenly stunned and ordered, Take me there immediately. Croya heard the news, turned her head gently asking, Diallo left with the letter because there was a sudden mission. PL nodded, Yes, they said there was a problem in Area 4 this time. She asked again, You mean the Endless Sea, is it due to the widespread surprise attack before? Croya thought to herself, Diallo on the outside looks weak, but he is definitely a good leader. Thinking to this point she suddenly worried, But why do I have a feeling of unease? Croya was holding a pen writing a letter on a piece of paper. She asked, But PL, did Diallo really leave without a word? Then she thought, This is quite unexpected. When she was concentrating on writing, unexpectedly, someone placed another letter on the table and slammed it down saying, Yes, I heard that he brushed everything aside without hesitation. Croya hearing this calmly replied, Oh, is that so? She raised the letter in that person's hand saying, He will return safely, I believe that. This is the last document that needs to be signed. Then, Croya looked at the letter beside her thinking, And me here, hoping for a bit of peace and quiet. Ah, so it is not a letter but a supplementary document for the shadow recipient. She asked, Shadow recipient, what is that, PL? PL replied, This mysterious character is the person who specializes in providing food for the families of those who have fallen while serving Argenta. The recipients this quarter are the families of Roa, Sinner. The Duke requires these people to receive special treatment. After hearing this, Croya felt like she understood the story somewhat. She pondered in her head, He is the knight who sacrificed himself in Area 4 of the Endless Sea in the previous battle. I thought the Duke was too cruel to him. But it seems that is not the whole story. Then, Croya asked PL again, That seems like Diallo. Ah, so what exactly is the job of the Shadow support families? PL explained again, The families that receive support from the Shadow not only receive citizenship on the mainland and buildings belonging to Argenta, but they are also sponsored throughout their lives so they will live in prosperity. That is why those under the management of the Argenta family always possess a high loyalty to the family. Indeed, these are generous benefits. After listening, Croya smiled faintly. She asked again, It certainly has benefits when becoming an Argenta, so what are the conditions to become an Argenta? Hearing this, PL immediately raised her hand that was blazing with fire in front of her. Behind her also appeared constellations outside the universe and different spaces. She said, This manifestation of power. However, I heard that the servants of the other families also have abilities that match their characteristics. Then she asked PL back, That case is of Alos, right? Croya replied, That is right. In the Alos family, most people working in it can handle water, but the circumstances are a bit different. With those who do not have abilities, it is not that they are not allowed to work in the plantation. And I have never heard of a magic contract like the one Mirta signed today. An image flashed in Croya's head of a woman hugging a coffin in loss. She continued, Or things like the shadow subsidy. That woman cried a lot, tears spread across her cheeks like a small stream flowing from the corners of her eyes. Croya further explained, The shadow system is considered a special tradition of the Argenta family. PL replied, That is why it is different from the other families here. When the two were discussing, suddenly there was a knock that interrupted their conversation. Croya said, What is it? Come in. While PL thought, Someone in the Argenta house has something to do with me. A knight hastily walked in saying, Sorry to disturb you, madam. Area 4 needs more reinforcements from you. Hearing this, Croya felt confused and asked back, What? But Diallo has already arrived there, and they still need reinforcements. He replied, Yes, this request is directly from the Duke. Coming to this point, Croya started to think about that. The strange feeling now has been experienced. This is an accident that Diallo's only uncle, Radia's Argenta, lost after going crazy, an event that marked the crisis between Diallo and Argenta. This is an accident that occurred after Croya married Diallo Argenta, and before the true pharaoh came to this villa. It seemed that Croya had understood a part. She asked, How many reinforcements are needed? The knight continued, He said that the battle lasted longer than expected, and he needed enough forces to regain control of that area. PL hearing this breathed a sigh of relief, At least that is not worrying. But Croya thought differently. She felt extremely uneasy. No, they do not know that the situation is gradually becoming serious. Her hands tightened together. The only reason a former commander like Radius has to leave, even with Diallo's support, is because in the entire history of Argenta, it is not that they have never predicted the appearance of a monster capable of using water energy. That is why Radius had to burn all his spiritual power and become crazy. Area 4 is protected, exchanged for the life of Radius, But, if I just let things go on like this, things will even become more tragic than the beginning many times. Radius Argenta is not only Diello's blood relative, but also the pillar for the Argenta family army. Obviously I can't stand by and watch him die, I won't handle this recklessly. This is also for my safety in the future. And in terms of scale, let us make it as big as possible, send more reinforcements immediately. Croya immediately ordered. But in her head there was a struggle of thoughts. Croya thought again, that is right, I am the only one who knows about the monster first, I must also participate by quickly saying it out. After thinking through, she smiled and said, and as for the scope of deployment, I think it is better to let the soldiers decide instead of me. Hearing this the two immediately bowed saying, we understand. But Croya added, however. Gather all the escort team for me too. Hearing this the two looked surprised asking back, what did the madam say? Without hesitation, Croya said, that area is near water and I am in a lows. Her teacup was still full at this time, it seemed she still had not taken even a sip due to the nature of her work. But strangely, the tea in the cup was like a ripple that protruded from the mouth of the cup. The water in the vase on the table was also the same, in an instant, the two waters blended together, so it was Croya's controllability. The night continued, if they need to strengthen the power, even when Diello is there. While PL widened her eyes in surprise and looked over the ripples created by Croya. Croya continued, the situation there may be more serious than we thought. Because the area is near water. Shouldn't an Alos, who can control water, go? The two after listening immediately bowed their heads, I will report back immediately after the meeting, madam, yes. For the Argenta family, for Diello, at the window, where it continues the beautiful sunlight. Croya's fair hand was also raised as if receiving that warm sunlight. Then she quietly by the window thought, and for her own future too, I must prevent this tragedy. On the other side, Diello was breathing heavily. Currently this is a battle between him and Watery with huge waves no different from tsunamis. Now, looking back at the waves created by Watery, along with the sea monsters, he thought, I hate the sea. From afar looking back, the sparkling ocean seems endlessly beautiful. But the monsters there are always eyeing the mainland. And with each sacrifice of the Argenta family has done as promised. To protect this land from that threat. I can shout out how much I hate the ocean. Thinking back to when he was young, Diello was sitting crying alone in the room, the surroundings were extremely dark, thus showing how lonely his memory was. At this time, Radius, Diello's uncle was standing outside the door of the room. He approached calling, Sir Diello. In the corner of the bed, Diello replied in a choked voice, Uncle. That voice seemed very scared, I hate the ocean, because the creatures that appeared from that place, everyone Radius approached his nephew comforting, wipe your tears, many people are looking forward to Diello's collapse, you have to be strong. Then he reassured, now, you must get used to sacrifice, and not easily trust anyone. He put his hand on Diello's shoulder reminding, don't look at the Argenta family as an individual, but as a collective. To survive, you must be stronger. Hearing this, Diello's tears flowed profusely crying in a choked voice, Uncle. And in that evening, the two uncles embraced each other in indescribable loneliness. For him, Uncle Radius was not only an uncle, but also like a father always looking towards his son. Returning to reality, while fighting, he thought, the reason I am thinking about him today, must be because I am about to have to move troops to the place he used to command. Holding the horse's reins, he thought further, I have a very bad feeling about this time. Please let this time's intuition be wrong, just thinking, he was fighting thoughts in his head, behind him was an army led by him. On the battlefield, Amos was still struggling to hold back the sea monsters. With a flaming sword, he was still fighting hard but was still at a disadvantage against those hideous sea monsters. They went away that made Amos' sword fly out. While the sword had fallen to the ground. Then it was also the time that the sea monster was also preparing to attack him, Amos' eyes were wide as if facing death. In his head at this time he thought, damn it, I can't lose my guard, is this really the end? Facing death, it seemed Amos was also a little scared. But unexpectedly, when he was being defeated, the sea monster attacking him was burned fiercely. Diello had arrived just in time and burned that sea monster rescuing Amos, Your Grace Argenta. Then, his hand drew out his sword. Then swung at the sea monster army burning all of them. Seeing this, the other knights happily cheered, the commander has arrived. Uncle Radius seeing this also happily said, Your Grace Argenta. Holding his sword firmly, Diello gave the order, the flame of Argenta must continue to burn, no one is allowed to retreat. Then with the flaming sword in his hand, he shouted, all forces, attack. Seeing that large army, the sea monsters also retreated towards the ocean. Two knights nearby happily said, they are retreating, is everything over? But at this moment, Watery's hand rose up. The sea monsters seemed to have been hypnotized, they once again returned to the mainland and knocked down all the people on it. Everyone here seeing this was extremely scared, no way, a monster is using water energy, the monsters, are even more than before. But for Diello there was not a bit of fear. He swung his sword, slashing a line of fire, aiming to defeat all of them. That flame was like a cannon firing straight at Watery. But she was also not easy. She used water to dissolve Diallo's fire. In an instant, Watery had created a tsunami in front of Diallo, as if wanting to swallow him whole. During this time, Diallo felt confused. It seemed his mind thought that it was impossible to defeat her. He thought, the flames can't touch them, at this distance it is impossible to break those walls. The tsunami was getting bigger and was rushing ashore, engulfing everything. The sea monsters at this time also rushed up. As if accepting fate, Diallo's eyes became steadfast, so the reports from the desert, where it is ruled by Cardiel, who uses wind energy, about the monsters using fire energy were true. They said that the Cardiel commander, after growing strongly with the pharaoh, had to fight the creatures immediately, those who have never grown to that point. All I can do is hold them back. Besides, although I called for assistance from the manor, I could not see these monsters as a variable, so they could not help much. Uncle Radius at this time came out saying, I will try my best and stop them. While Piello was still blaming himself, it is my fault for only asking for a small force, and underestimating those variables. His hand firmly held the hilt, thinking, if my uncle has chosen to fight as hard as possible, the damage will be reduced, but these words will become his will. Radius bowed his head, continuing, Your Grace Argenta, please give the order to attack. Diallo replied, fight as hard as possible. Unexpectedly, a voice rang out from behind him, Ello. It turned out that it was Croya. She was calling loudly while riding a horse. Hearing her voice, Diallo and Radius were stunned. An army of reinforcements was running towards them with extremely fast speed. Diallo at this time still could not believe his eyes, softly calling, Croya Alos. But Watery seemed not to spare anyone and raised her hand, controlling the tsunami, aiming to engulf them. Seeing the wave coming towards her. In an instant, Croya had stopped the tsunami. Looking from afar, it showed Croya was extremely small before the tsunami. She just held and yelled loudly, I will hold this water level back. But at this time Diallo was still vaguely looking forward. Croya in a reaching position, one hand raised in front. She was riding on the back of a white war horse, reaching out to control a huge tsunami. Diallo's face showed shock, thinking to himself, that tsunami looks really cool, no. In front of them was a creature whose body was covered with gray-black scales and cold, deathly white eyes. Another creature appeared with bright yellow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth, roaring. Diallo thought about Croya's ability. It is not just cool, Croya is sitting firmly on the back of the white war horse. He thought to himself, Croya Alos is controlling it. Only to see her perform a strong wave gesture, pulling along streams of energy. Bright blue water rays cut across quickly, creating a deadly network. Diallo and the knights were staring blankly at the scene in front. Everyone was agape. Croya looked down at her hands with a shocked expression. Croya's hands were pressed together, emitting bright blue rays of light. She said to herself, I knew the power would grow when getting closer to the origin, but is it this strong? Before departing, Croya lifted her hands, creating a floating and undulating water ball. Croya stood in front of an architectural structure practicing magic. She stated, as I thought, the more I use this power the more proficient I am with it, I can transform them into the shapes I want. It is lucky that I always practice often. In the original story, Croya's power was weakened a lot, but I am not like that now. There is no other explanation. This rebirth will also change my power. A knight appeared, respectfully bowing, reporting, Madam, we have finished preparing. A large force of cavalry was gathering. A decisive command was given, give the order to attack. Her eyes were steadfast, looking forward. I only hope that my presence here can bring worthy results. We have gathered a larger force than expected. Croya put on her fluttering white cloak, proudly mounted on her war horse. Croya riding on the back of the war horse, one hand raised, signaling, all forces, enter Area 4. The knights answered in unison, yes, madam. The sound of horses' hooves running rapidly with extremely fast speed. Croya was galloping along a road shaded by green trees. She thought to herself, I am also not surprised because I am familiar with riding horses. In the original story, Croya must not only have experience, but she is a genius in this. A knight riding a horse behind spoke, reporting, Madam, we are about to enter Area 4. Croya replied briefly, very good. Croya's face showed determination. She affirmed, for the benefit of the things that will happen in the future, this battle must be won. I do not know how much I can help, but... When riding along the coast, Croya felt a change, the closer I got to the sea. Her face exuded calmness but full of strength. She noticed, the Alos blood stirs in me more and more. Croya proudly entered the center of attention, surrounded by giant monsters. The Argenta Knights did not hide their surprise. She can control those big waves, she has protected us. Croya was still shocked by the scale of the attack. Honestly, I am also quite surprised, even being near the sea, I did not expect the power to surge up so much. Witnessing her own power surge, she began to wonder, then, how strong are the other Aloses? If according to the original story, Pentus Alos, the heir to the family, also has the power of a pharaoh. She reasoned that if according to the original story, then the power that Pentus possesses would surpass to a different level. Wait, did Pentus Alos ever have a pharaoh? With her hands shining with bright green spiritual power, she put forward a hypothesis. If my fate does not end like the original story, then what will happen, with power as strong as it is now? Croya, riding on the back of a white horse with her hands ready to perform magic behind her, was the dark figure of a giant sea monster. She questioned herself. There is no reason why I should not be chosen as the heir to the family. With a strong sweep of her hand, she finished them off immediately. The monsters were pinned down by bright blue water spears. The Arzenta knights could not help but be shocked. What is that? She is not even the heir to the family. How could she do that? Then how strong can Duke Alos be? She looked at her hands in amazement. How stupid. What is that? Diallo appeared with a look that was both surprised and silently observing. He exclaimed in astonishment, the spellcasters are gradually disappearing. Have they disappeared? The swirling water surged high. No, they are escaping, Croya thought. The waves are even bigger. Croya stood firm and thought, I can see them. An entity surrounded by the waves, Croya thought, they are hiding beneath the waves. Croya raised her hand and unleashed spiritual power. But running is useless. And declared sternly, that is useless. A half-human, half-fish entity with sharp fins and a rugged chest. She swung her hand, releasing an extremely powerful stream of water pressure. Now's my chance. Croya unleashed a massive surge of water magic, forming a vortex. Despite taking the full force of the spiritual energy, the bizarre entity did not fall easily. Croya determined that this creature was difficult to kill. Possessing water abilities makes them hard to defeat with just one blow. She raised her hand, her eyes sharp, and thought to herself, then I have to use more power. Just as Croya was concentrating intensely, Diallo spoke, Croya. She startled and turned around with a surprised expression, exclaiming, Diallo. Diallo immediately unleashed a massive amount of fire-based spiritual energy from his palm. Diallo stepped forward, one hand raised, the blazing fire like a torch. The blazing fire descended upon the creature. They had to endure his power. They immediately exploded with streams of spiritual energy. The entire army cheered in joy, they have been defeated. He shouted, the water monsters are dead, secure the battlefield. Diallo also had to secretly marvel at her strength, even without fully developing, the power is this great. It far surpasses what I imagined. The excessive use of spiritual energy made her dizzy. Her steps staggered, and her body collapsed from exhaustion. As I expected, Diallo still. Seeing Croya fall, Diallo immediately rushed to catch her. Croya. He anxiously asked, Croya, are you alright? What were you thinking, coming here? Croya raised her hand to touch his face, expressing that, I was worried. I did not want my partner to get involved in a crime and get hurt. Moreover, I thought I could do something. Her eyes were full of compassion. I thought that with his personality, he would be in danger in the battle. Her eyes slightly opened, looking up at him, and thinking that, but maybe, he is not the person I know. Croya lay still on the bed. A hand appeared, gently stroking her hair. Diallo silently stared intently at Croya. His eyes suddenly contained many things he wanted to say. He recalled the recent event. A soldier announced, Your Grace, the battlefield has been cleared. Diallo agreed, all right, let us depart. The soldier replied, understood, we will escort the madam. Hearing this, he immediately refused, no. Then he hugged her tightly, I will directly take her back on my horse. The legion quietly advanced forward. In Diallo's heart, a sentiment suddenly echoed, a strange scent fills my mind. A gentle scent weighing down on my body. The smell of the ocean, the smell I hate the most. But the scent, like sweet morning dew, quenches my thirst. Thinking this, Diallo hugged her tighter and softly called, Croya. Suddenly he denied, no, Croya. Thinking this, he gently said, thank you for everything. He suddenly remembered his past. After having to face countless deaths of the Argenta family and his parents, he had always tried not to create any close relationships anymore. He had always had to be ruthless and not be swayed by the death of anyone. However, if someone was not affected by that deadly battlefield and could face it. Diallo gently stroked her hair, Croya, in that case then. Then gently lifted it and kissed it, I will. Suddenly a strange noise rang out in the room. Croya opened her eyes and looked ahead, the familiar ceiling. I have returned to the villa safely. She tiredly thought, I do not even have the strength to move a finger anymore. My mouth is too dry, it feels like all the water in my body is gone. People say that after all three families use their abilities, everyone will be affected by different side effects. Thinking this, she softly mumbled, and this is my side effect. Rose gently entered inside. Then she raised her voice asking, oh, madam, you are awake. Croya nodded replying, I just woke up. Rose smiled brightly reporting, I will call the doctor immediately. Hearing this she immediately stopped, I am fine, no need to bother. More importantly, Then Croya worriedly asked, Mr. Radius, is he safe, right? Rose looked at her confusedly. What are you saying? She gently explained, I am talking about the commander of Area 4. Then she gently sat up. Oh no, should be everyone participating in the battle is alright. What is the level of damage? Seriously replying, Mr. Radius and the soldiers were only slightly injured. He visited the madam and immediately returned to Area 4. Croya confusedly asked, what? Radius really came? How long have I been unconscious? She replied, the madam has been unconscious for a day and a half. Croya shouted in panic, a day and a half. Rose nodded, yes, and thank you for your support, the damage in Area 4 has been minimized. She raised her hand and placed it on her chest, I have a belief that I can help. In her heart she thought, the fact that Mr. Radius always overcomes himself, will be significant support for the Argenta family. The plan has succeeded, although there are some side effects. Finally Croya raised her head asking, where is Diello? Rose seriously replied, he returned safely and is now arranging his schedule. In that schedule, of course there is time to visit the madam. She instructed, tell him that I am very well. Rose bowed her head, I understand. The instruction to call the doctor after the madam woke up was also His Grace's command. She gently ordered, all right, then call the doctor and report to Diello. Rose bowed agreeing, yes, for Argenta. Croya confusedly repeated, for Argenta. Outside a notification rang out, Madam, the doctor has arrived. She replied, come in. The doctor smiled greeting, for Argenta. Then gently saying, please allow me to check a little, Madam. Croya nodded, all right. After checking he replied, there does not seem to be any major problems. If you rest well, you will gradually recover. Then gently instructed, if you feel unwell anywhere then call me immediately. Croya nodded, all right, thank you very much, I will be careful. Then the doctor bowed, for Argenta. Hearing that word again she pondered, for Argenta, I feel like I have heard this phrase a lot before. Outside two people appeared requesting to see her. Madam, may I come in for a moment? She replied, come in. The two people gently greeted, for Argenta. Everyone together repeated, for Argenta. Finally Croya raised her head curiously asking, this is teamwork. I see everyone saying for Argenta when they promise something before they leave. I feel the atmosphere is different than before. PL replied, more than teamwork, the madam's actions were very impressive to Argenta. Hearing that she gently asked, why? She explained, even the Argenta comrades are very afraid of having to sacrifice themselves on the battlefield for Argenta, but the madam rushed into the battlefield without a bit of fear. More than the things an Argenta can do. Argenta believes that you have found your first battle, even the ability of the person is not too great, but Argenta all believe that you have found your first battle. Croya confusedly asked, the first battle, PL replied, what does that mean? It means a challenge to become a true Argenta. A challenge where the participants have to survive only using the flame of their own, without using other weapons. If the participants fail, their abilities will become a part of the Lord, but if they survive, they will become a true member of the Argenta family. Hearing this she silently thought, it means 1 is to live, 2 is to die, I will not be able to meet this. Thinking to this point she was more contemplative, but, I can feel a vague feeling between the Argentas' relationship. I do not know when I will leave this place. Croya turned her head to one side saying, but to become an Argenta. She faintly smiled, it feels strange. She thought to herself, although that is the case, my leaving won't change anything. The true pharaoh will appear soon. She decisively prepared, I should start preparing early. Then Croya called the person opposite her, PL. Yes, she replied, Madam. Croya smiled asking, can you bring me a map of the territory? In the night, a voice rang out, deep in the mainland. Croya sat on the bed reading the map in her hand, a place where people can live their whole lives, in prosperity, without having to worry about their lives. Her hand gently searched for a suitable place. Coming here she pointed to a place on the map, that will be the Daisy Forest. Of course, it is currently still a forest full of wild animals and monsters, but in a few years, a huge waterway will be built around the river near the forest, right? Seeing the logical place Croya happily exclaimed, real estate is always the future. Then she thought, the only problem is, the money to buy it beforehand, if I buy it now, I will get rich. It will surely be a big bargain, where will I get the money now? While still contemplative, suddenly from the door Diello ran in calling, Croya. She raised her head calling, Diello. I was very worried about you, Croya. Only hearing him frantically expressing, I heard you woke up and wanted to come sooner, but the coastal areas keep causing trouble. Croya hearing this smiled, so you were saying sorry for not being by my side when I woke up. Diello bowed his head replying, yes, I am sorry, and thank you, you. She calmly replied, it is okay, you must have been very busy. His face worriedly asked, I heard Nia say, but, are you really okay? Croya smiled comforting, this is the first time I have used my power like that, so I think my body was a bit shocked, I am fine now. Diallo was still uneasy about her. So you forced yourself to use your power. If not, there would have been serious damage. Truly, many people in Arzentia are alive thanks to you, Kroya. Then he sadly covered his face. I should have told you not to do that again, but that is too appealing of a power. If the same thing happens again, I do not think I will be able to stop you. Diallo asked her pitifully, what should I do, Kroya? Kroya calmly replied, what do you mean? I will help again, of course, until we drive out the Alos family, we will support each other in this matter, right? He gently bowed his head. Thank you, Kroya. As if remembering something, he took out the letter from his person. Oh, that is right, Kroya, a letter from Duke Alos. Then he handed it to her. I thought you might need to see it, so I brought it along. Holding it in her hand, Kroya curiously asked, a letter? The content of the letter appeared, once a month, according to the agreed framework for him to meet his daughter. He wants to meet Kroya. Reading to this point, she mumbled. The purpose of this letter is probably. Kroya put forward her question, to check the progress of the plan to steal Diallo Arzentia's purity. She silently pondered, in all the time, right at the moment I am trying to manage future plans, of course that is something that only Duke Alos would do. Wait, was not Duke Alos supposed to have included the conditions in the marriage contract, that unreasonable term? I am sure one of them is, 50% of the profits from Arzentia's key mines and agricultural lands will be paid to the Alos family as a stipend for the dignity of Duchess Kroya. Here it is, my source of money. Diallo, seeing that she was still silent, asked, Kroya. She smiled, waving her hand, it is nothing, do not mind me. His eyes fell to the paper under her body. But what are you holding? Is that a map? Kroya nodded. Ah, yes, I asked PL to bring it to me. I always wanted to live in Daisy Forest one day when I leave Argentia. Hearing this, his eyes suddenly twitched. Diallo silently bit his lip, not saying anything. Seeing his strange expression, she gently called, Diallo. Finally he looked up, asking her, so once you leave Arzentia, right? Diallo gently replied, Kroya, you sleep first, I think I will stay up a little later to finish work. She nodded, smiling, all right, I am going to sleep here. You always work hard, Diallo. He turned around, walking away. The hallway only showed his lonely figure. Diallo remembered what she said, one day when I leave Arzentia, I want to live near Daisy Forest. Thinking this, he repeated, Daisy Forest, huh? In his heart he incomprehensibly thought, why does she want to go there? Because the large river flows near the forest, a small chance, but maybe she wants to use the power of the river to wipe out all the Alos, and then face Arzentia alone. Thinking to this point, he stopped his feet. No, she is not that reckless. Diallo's face suddenly darkened. He was confused. Is she really going to leave? I thought she was smart. Diallo's eyes suddenly became terrifyingly silent. He mumbled, then why does she see this side and not see the other side? Kroya Alos has become too deeply fascinated with Arzentia. No way Arzentia will let her live peacefully. When the true pharaoh comes, Kroya will not come to Daisy Forest. He confusedly thought, she will be abandoned, she has run out of value, she should be killed, that is the plan. Diallo asked himself, then why am I hesitating? Just because she is the only one who has cooperated, just because she saved so many people at Arzentia. Just because her power is desirable, just because. Suddenly in his heart appeared Kroya's bright figure. Diallo was silent for a long time. Then gently mumbled, if the pharaoh arrives late. Finally he replied, I think everything being the same is also okay. His mouth said that, but Diallo's face was sad. Actually, before, this could have been better. He gently reassured himself, yes, you are too good for the Alos family, to the point that you shine brightly. In his heart he suddenly remembered her, if you really were the pharaoh. The next morning Kroya sat on the carriage waving her hand, I will return safely. Her face confidently replied, I am very good at acting, so do not worry. Diallo smiled, all right. She gently said goodbye, then, I am leaving. He smiled, nodding, all right, I will wait, depart now. Diallo Argenta. Duke Alos happily walked over to greet Kroya. Kroya, come in, are you well? Just seeing him she slightly bowed, it is an honor to meet you, Duke. Thanks to your generosity, I had a happy honeymoon. As soon as Kroya finished speaking, Duke Alos opened his mouth, happy greeting, there are some snacks in the living room. Let us talk there. She did not refuse, yes, of course. Although her face did not change her expression, in her heart she was secretly scolding him, happy greeting, how audacious, what is he plotting this time? Before long Duke Alos had led her to the room at the end of the hallway. Suddenly he spoke, well then, to give father and daughter some privacy. Would you mind leaving? Although it sounded like a normal question, Duke Alos' eyes glanced at everyone there threateningly. But PL, Rose, and the knight beside them did not intend to leave, they stood there silently without moving at all. Duke Alos pretended not to pay attention to their attitude and still joked, come on, do not tell me that Arzentia does not allow a moment of bonding between parents and children. Or, you do not think I would harm my daughter, right? He used a stimulating trick again with PL, but she still faced him calmly. Kroya, seeing the two talking in such a tense atmosphere at once, also made her tense. After a while of talking and whispering, PL, Rose and the knight also gave way and retreated. Duke Alos was very satisfied with that attitude. Good, that is right then. All three of them could only stand and watch as Kroya was brought into the room to talk. The two high-ranking knights that Duke Alos brought, their tone of speaking with others was the same as him. Then please wait outside the manor until the conversation ends. PL and the two people could only stand silently waiting outside. Entering the room, sitting down to talk, Duke Alos spoke first. So, how is everything progressing? I heard the two of you are practically inseparable. Although on the outside Kroya still replied calmly, well, I have been trying to stay in the same room with Diallo until now. But on the inside she began to have a wave of feelings. What is this? What caught her attention was the two knights standing behind him. There was an Alos servant in the living room already, but the problem is, Diallo Arzentia is only 2. Something was not right. Even though she sensed it, Kroya still sat and talked calmly as if nothing was wrong. To be honest, he is a bit naive. And I think the fact that I come from Alos makes it harder for him to open his heart. Duke Alos suddenly interrupted. Is it not because you are not trying? Not giving him a chance to blame her, she immediately rebutted. Of course I am trying, but you know how this works. To get the Duke and Pharaoh together, only taking their purity is not enough. Duke Alos also had to acknowledge her words. I know that. Diallo will not go further until he opens the seal of his ability. He won't even try to be intimate until then, so it will take some time. TSK, you do not realize that. Duke Alos looked at Kroya with a gloomy face. Emotional bond exists for a reason. Can't you even do that right? As if being hit in a weak spot, she was a little guilty. I know he is a waste. But facing him, he was even worse than she imagined. Kroya's hand unconsciously tightened the hem of her skirt. Suddenly her whole body was covered by a dark and ominous murderous energy. Kroya's face quickly turned purple from lack of oxygen. I can't breathe. This pressure was pressing down on her. Suddenly the teacup in front of her shook violently. Duke Alos speaking while using his power, controlling the tea water inside the cup to overflow upwards. You do not understand what I have told you. Seduce him, at all costs. Finishing the sentence, the tea water had been turned into sharp pieces of glass that were controlled by him rushing and cutting across Kroya's neck. Despite the wound on her neck bleeding, she still tried to remain calm to answer him. Of course, that is what I am trying to do. Duke Alos waved away the remaining tea drops, looking at her with contemptuous eyes. What is the use of effort without results? It is just not going as I thought, Duke. What, are you saying that kid has lost function at this age? Hearing those words coming from his mouth, Kroya could not hide her disgust when looking at that cunning face. He is not just cold-blooded, but also vulgar. An absolute scum. She had to try to suppress that disgust and reply, I do not think that is the problem. He only said he can't do it unless his heart agrees. Sorry for lying, Diallo, but now, I need to worry about myself first. Kroya was lost in thought, so she did not pay attention to the piece of glass that was flying fast, heading straight towards her neck. Kroya did not pay attention and continued to say, if I push him, it may only make him close his heart more, so I am trying to slowly. But I have a plan. As soon as she finished speaking, the piece of glass also stopped in time. The second before, Duke Alos wanted to eliminate her immediately, but the second after, seeing she still had value, so he did not take action. His eyes looked at Kroya with a commanding look. Continue. At this time she spoke the plan she had prepared in advance. If I want to win Diallo's heart, I need something, but their family hardly has any money besides the allowance for the Duchess's dignity. So, I want a portion of that allowance to be redirected to me, even if only 1/10 is enough. Hearing this, Duke Alos' complexion was quite better. Reasonable, alright, I will redirect a portion as you say. Hearing what she wanted to hear, he finally calmed down, redirecting the tea water back to the original direction. But next month, I expect better results, understand? Not wanting to linger any longer, Kroya stood up, replying, yes. With that, I won't have any trouble funding everything in the future. She quickly walked out the door, not forgetting to say goodbye to Duke Alos. Then please excuse me. When Kroya was carrying her thoughts opening the door, I managed somehow, but there was a voice calling her back. Wait. She only glanced back to see who was calling. Kroya thought she would be able to leave here safely, but Duke Alos had the two knights step forward, holding both her arms tightly. The name Diallo Arzentia engraved on your back. We will need to carve it again. He looked at her crazily. Kroya wanted to scream but could not utter a sound. Not knowing how long had passed, the sun had gradually set. Kroya's servants and knights were still standing waiting for her outside. As soon as they saw her figure coming out, PL hurriedly stepped forward. Kroya walked out with a somber face, not saying a word. PL ran over intending to say something, madam, but she remained silent. Kroya slowly stepped onto the carriage, her words becoming shaky. Prepare the carriage, get ready. PL still did not understand what was going on but obeyed the order. Yes, madam. She turned to the driver saying, let us depart. He then pulled the horse reins. Understood. The carriage began to roll under the twilight. At this time in the carriage, PL dared to open her mouth. "Madam, you do not look well." Before she could finish speaking, both suddenly startled and sat up. "Are you sure that?" Croya's entire body covered in blood collapsed onto the seat. "Madam." PL and Rose only then noticed her back full of blood. In a blur, Croya only saw two figures standing close to her, constantly calling, "Madam, madam, wake up, madam." Retaining a bit of consciousness, she spoke to PL. "PL, I am fine, I will be better after a while." PL worried, incessantly coming closer to gently hug Croya, asking, "What happened at the Alo's house?" Suddenly she felt a liquid that was still wet and sticky on her hand. "What is this?" PL's face at this time darkened. She brought her blood-stained hand up to smell it. PL sensed something, gently turning to ask Croya, "Madam, may I check your back?" Receiving her agreement, "All right," she then stepped forward to lightly take off Croya's outer coat. "Then please excuse me for a moment." PL and Rose could not believe their eyes when they saw her back full of blood carrying the word Diallo. PL hesitantly spoke, "Did you also return in this state last time?" Croya also did not deny it. "Yes, you know, that I had the fake Diallo name carved." She stammered, looking back at her hands full of blood. "Even so, this is..." Knowing that she could not interfere in Croya's affairs, PL could only comply and help her. "I will give first aid immediately, although we are arriving at the manor a bit late. I will instruct the driver to be careful so that you do not feel uncomfortable, madam." Croya was also very grateful for her kindness. "All right, thank you." Before long it was dark. At Diallo's manor, he did not know how many times he had looked at the watch. His eyes were always directed towards the door, waiting for Croya to return. Although on the outside Diallo did not reveal his emotions, in his heart he was very worried. "It is much later than expected. Did something happen?" While lost in thought, a knight hurriedly ran in, reporting, "Family head, the madam, has arrived." Diallo only replied briefly, "You are late." Croya, hearing his voice, was stunned. "Diallo, why are you still awake?" Seeing her purple face, Diallo's eyes widened. He seemed to understand something, so he only gently asked, "Did you carve the name again?" Croya, hearing Diallo ask that, was very surprised. "You know," he answered as he stepped closer, "I just found out." Diallo gently stepped closer, comforting her. "It will be best if you treat the wound properly, Croya." She shyly refused. "First aid has been done well, so it is okay, Diallo, it will heal gradually inside." Seeing Croya's attitude like that, Diallo could not help but say sternly, "So what? Let us do it again properly, Croya Alos." But quickly his attitude returned to normal and smiled, looking at her. Feeling his concern for her, Croya could not bear to refuse. "All right, I will be grateful if you do that." Diallo looked at that smile and could not help but feel heartbroken. That smiling face, even after what happened, do you know, it drives people crazy. After showering, Croya went to the room for Diallo to treat her wound. "Oh, please tell me if it is too painful." She again asked a foolish question, "If I tell you, will you make it not hurt?" But Diallo still gently replied, "No, I will do it faster." She then looked up, complaining to him, "Oh, then please do it faster, it is quite stinging, it even hurts when I straighten my arm." After applying the medicine, Diallo's eyes saw something on Croya's back, that is. He was a little distracted, not hearing her voice. "As fast as possible, please, Diallo." He widened his eyes in horror when he saw it, a bruise. Wanting to see more clearly, so Diallo gently swept Croya's hair to one side. "A bruise, what is this?" But unexpectedly, when he just swept the hair aside, it revealed her back full of bruises on both sides of her shoulder. He intended to say something, but his lips only moved without making any sound. Diallo's entire body was surrounded by murderous aura, his face dark and frightening, until hearing Croya call Diallo, he returned to his gentle appearance. "What is it? Is there a problem?" Diallo tried to adjust his emotions. He then smiled gently, replying, "It is nothing." While saying that, he tried to apply the medicine faster. "I will finish soon." Croya also could barely endure it anymore because it was too painful. "Yes, please." After a few minutes it was finally completed, finished. She pulled up her robe and shyly thanked Diallo. "Thank you, Your Grace," but he thought she was too polite. "You do not have to be like that." Diallo suddenly stared at Croya. "Excuse me. Your outer clothes, please take them off before sleeping." The atmosphere of both unexpectedly fell into silence. Only when she realized it did Croya react. She quickly covered herself, yelling, "What?" She was so embarrassed that her face was as red as a tomato. Contrary to her panic, Diallo calmly explained, "Even if you put a piece of cloth on your back, if your back rubs against your outer clothes, the pain will be worse. It is better to sleep without wearing anything." Croya stammered, replying, "That may be true, but anyway, sleeping together while this is revealed, is not it a bit too much? Or am I overreacting to this too innocent person?" She looked at his innocent face a bit self-consciously. As if seeing through Croya's thoughts, Diallo gently pulled her hand, reassuring her, "You do not need to worry about anything else, Croya, we have promised that we will only hold hands when sleeping." He gently placed a kiss on her hand as if promising he would not break his promise. This was the first time Kroya felt someone treat her so well, so for a moment her emotions were a bit chaotic. Diallo still sat quietly waiting for her answer. Knowing that he wanted what was best for her, so Kroya obediently did as he said, "I understand." Both lay on the bed facing each other but not saying a word. Kroya was a bit awkward being stared at by him. Suddenly Diallo's eyes became much gentler. He softly called her name, Kroya. Kroya also used a similarly gentle attitude to reply, "Yes." Unexpectedly Diallo sat up, pressing her hand tightly. "I do not think this will be okay." Just because of this action Kroya's heart was beating wildly, her thoughts also became confused. What does he mean? His handsome face was getting closer and closer to her. But Kroya froze, not moving at all. Diallo's hand reached out as if about to touch her face. Just when she thought something romantic was about to happen, he reached for the pillow next to her instead. Diallo gently put the soft pillow in Kroya's arms. "Here, a pillow," making her freeze, unable to adapt to what was happening. After finishing, he pulled the blanket up to cover Kroya and then lay down, explaining, "I think lying on your side may not be comfortable. Try hugging a pillow when you rest." Knowing that she just had thoughts she should not have with him, she embarrassedly blushed but still tried to calm down, replying, "Ah, I understand. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, Diallo." Diallo still had the mood to joke with her. "Make sure I am also in the blanket, okay? It might get cold at night." "Did I startle you again?" Kroya could only shyly threaten him. "Don't laugh." Diallo hesitantly opened his mouth, then unexpectedly he grasped her hand. "Good night, Kroya." She also happily wished him back. "Yes, you too, Diallo." After a long night the sky had brightened. Kroya was awakened by the sunlight. She groggily opened her eyes. Just opening her eyes, she saw Diallo still tightly holding her hand, sleeping. Diallo, he is still sleeping. Sleeping in like this, that is rare. Is he that tired? Just sitting up, the door of the room was opened. The maid stepped in intending to say something. But Kroya raised her hand to her mouth, signaling her to be quiet. Understanding the madam's intention, she then retreated and closed the door. Kroya did not know what urgent matter the maid had to look for her so urgently for, so she quickly grabbed her robe, put it on, and walked out of the room. What urgent matter is happening? While still wondering, she suddenly remembered that there was still work that had not been completed. Ah, that is right, today is the day to inspect the shadow supply. It needs final approval. Final approval for the shadow supply is simply checking the goods have been delivered. It takes time, but it is not a complicated task. He had taken care of her wounds so thoroughly, so I should reciprocate. Thanks to Diallo applying the medicine gently, the pain reduced more than she expected. Kroya's mood had improved a lot compared to yesterday. If I continue to take care of it, it may heal sooner than expected. Just seeing her leave the room, PL worriedly asked, "Madam, how are you feeling today?" Kroya gently replied, "Much better than yesterday, thank you for asking. More importantly, today is the day to review the shadow supply." "Right, I will handle it in Diallo's place." PL, hearing that she wanted to work, quickly stepped forward to stop her. "Do you want to return to work right away? Perhaps you should rest a little more, it would be better." But Kroya did not agree. "I can't. If I rest now, it may give the impression that something happened yesterday at the Alo's house." She calmly explained to her, "If we intend to deceive them, we have to do it convincingly." Knowing that she could not sway Kroya, PL could only instruct, "Understood, but if it is too much, please do not hesitate to say so." "I will do that." Just waking up, not seeing his wife anywhere, Diallo called out loudly, looking for her. "Kroya." His hand touched the note that she left behind, then picked it up and read it. "Diallo, I saw that you were still sleeping soundly, so I woke up first. I will take care of reviewing the supply. It is the least I can do after all that you have done for me, Kroya." Diallo, after reading, could only helplessly just raising his hand to touch his face like someone smelling something. He brought it down to look. Diallo stared intently at that hand, then remembered Kroya's hand had grasped it. He could not help but bring it up to smell, the warmth from her small hand, her even breath. Kroya. In his head he constantly thought about her, appearing like a wife-crazed person. Kroya on this side was sitting handling documents with PL in the garden. Diallo, having changed his clothes neatly, then walked out to the balcony to get some fresh air. Unintentionally he happened to see her working below. He gloomily opened his mouth, asking Alan, "Did Duke Alo send Kroya a dignity subsidy?" He quickly replied, "Yes." Diallo inquired further, "How much?" Alan was said to be around 1/10 of the total fund of the manor. Diallo waved his hand, ordering him, "Continue to monitor her." Alan respectfully bowed, "Yes." He kept thinking about what Kroya would do with that money. Even 1/10 is a considerable amount of money for personal use, but Kroya is not the type of person who would waste it on jewelry or social events like most ladies. In that case, there is a possibility she intends to buy the Daisy Forest. Kroya, they say Pentis Alos, the heir of the Alos family, possesses power far beyond her. The fire from Alos is said to be superior to the fire of Argenta in strength, and I have not even gotten a pharaoh yet. If Pentis is truly that formidable, They won't need to fake a pharaoh and plot behind their back. They would have waged war publicly with Argenta already. You told me that you were just a pawn used to soothe the lows. Diallo raised his hand, covering everything around, only leaving Croya's figure. But you never said you would be a pawn that I would crave. After witnessing that pure power on the sea, how could I not want you? That is exactly why I can't lose you, Croya. While lost in thought, suddenly someone called him, Your Grace. It was the butler, who had an urgent matter to report. Someone has requested to meet you secretly. Diallo, hearing this, was very puzzled, so he asked back, secretly. He quickly replied, Yes, Your Grace. They claim to be the real pharaoh, and it is someone you know. In his heart he was even more curious about that person. Diallo's footsteps strode long in the hallway. Accompanying him was Alan. He coldly asked him, You have seen the pharaoh mark, right? Before he could answer, the two had arrived. In front of them was a knight standing ready to wait. He hurriedly opened the door for the two to enter. When the door had just opened, Diallo could not believe his eyes when he saw the person sitting inside, the Argenta traitor. It was Venia. She rested her chin, lazily leaning against the chair. When seeing him, Venia gave a smile greeting. It has been a while, since the last time we met when we were little. Duke Diallo Argenta. But her attitude clearly showed sarcasm. To be more precise, this is the first time we have met again since the former Duke and Madame Argenta passed away, right? Diallo, looking at Venia, could not avoid remembering those painful memories. The traitor who revealed Argenta's secrets to Duke Aloge, in all people. The person that I am forced to learn to love. It was actually the person who offered my mother into the hands of the enemy. His eyes, looking at her, were full of hatred. Venia speaking while pulling down her sleeve, Don't look at me with those eyes. Anyway, I can't be blamed, because I am also a pharaoh after all. Revealing the scar engraved with the name Diallo Argenta. You must be shocked that I entered Argenta without facing any obstacles, right? But do not blame the guards. While speaking, she was displaying the power of controlling tea water like the way Duke Aloge had done. They are just afraid to touch me. Diallo paid attention to with some surprise. Used to be a person of Argenta, but is using the power of water. How is that possible? No, something is very strange. This is not the pure hydro art that Croya or the Aloge blood clan use. The magic that Venia uses, something is not right. His train of thought was interrupted by Venia's words. I told them that Duke Aloge is backing me. That is enough to scare them. It is not because they are incompetent. Diallo was not like those guards who were tricked by her, a blatant lie. She completely does not know that Duke Aloge has appointed Croya as the pharaoh already. If Duke Aloge knew Venia was the real pharaoh, he would have definitely found a way to pull her to his side or eliminated her swiftly. Then, what exactly is this traitor trying to hide? Both looked at each other full of murderous intent, each with their own plans. Venia stopped playing with the teacup and began to go straight to the point. Anyway, I was very surprised too. I did not expect that Diallo Argenta, who used to be so gentle that he could not bear to hurt a flower, was actually the one who murdered his parents. She sat close to him and intimately patted his shoulder. Venia speaking while wrapping her arm around Diallo's neck. Duke Aloge probably believes his scheme has succeeded, but I have been going back and forth between his court and Argenta. I know the truth very well. Hugging his neck, getting close to say, that you stood still watching your parents fall. You could have completely saved them, but you did not, is that right? She always tried to touch the deep pain in Diallo's heart. Diallo, who had been silent until now, finally opened his mouth to speak. Why does it have to be you? Why are you the pharaoh? Hearing him speak, Venia laughed very happily. That is right, why me? Diallo could not help but think of Croya's beautiful appearance. Why is the person that I am forced to love? Is not her, but a person like her. Venia again continued to chatter with him. I am not that hateful, right? Even after knowing your secret, I still kept silent. The more he listened, Diallo found it ridiculous. She only kept her mouth shut because she knew that if she spread rumors she would also be arrested by Argenta's intelligence network. But now she is acting like she is protecting me. Even so, Venia intentionally went to the window, looking down at Croya, raising her voice asking, Who is that fake pharaoh? I heard the wedding was magnificent. Don't tell me you were stupid and gave your chastity to her. Seeing your indifferent face when seeing me, you must have known she was just an imposter from the beginning, right? Before anything she showed malice towards Croya. Whatever the reason, quickly eliminate her, then we will continue our wedding night. If you can't do it, then let me. Diallo looked at her but was not angry at all. Only coldly sitting there saying, Why are you so eager? Venia still tried to act like she was kind and thinking for him. Well. Becoming the Duchess of Argenta means that I can finally end 10 years of running, and enjoy the luxurious life worthy of me, but truly, isn't Argenta desperately longing for a pharaoh? Hurry up and return the seat to me. She even dared to threaten Diallo. If not, who knows what stories I will make up. Venia was always saying non-stop, Do you know why I let the former Duke and Madame die? You crave that title, right? Is that really necessary? Diallo stepped closer, grasping the curtain, and said to her, That Duke title is already in my hands. I simply like watching a rabbit dance, while not knowing fangs are pressing close to its neck. But I do not have any affection for those stupid moths who keep flying straight into the fire. Do you remember when my life was threatened? Venia still tried to act calm and concerned about him. Did you get sick or something? But was bluntly denied by him. No. Among all the descendants of Argenta, including my father, almost no one was born with a weak physique. Just answering Diello's hand was creating fire from his power. If a person does not have innate strength, then they will not be able to endure this magic. The more outstanding the power is, the sooner the heir will receive the succession emblem. The flame that was burning larger and larger surrounded Venia. And when that transfer happens, the pharaoh of the former leader will become useless. I understand that very well. Then who was it that tried to poison the air? His eyes looked at her as if wanting to kill her right now. Why should I hesitate when taking action against those who tried to kill me before, even if the person who knows the truth is you? Although very scared, Venia tried to comfort herself. Well then, I am also his pharaoh. Even if he threatens to kill me, he won't be able to kill me. She even had the nerve to reply to Diello, forget it, worry about preparing for the wedding. Before it is too late, Argenta must get its worthy pharaoh. Before it is too late, there are still too many obstacles. His eyes shone suddenly lowered. It is not that it is too late, but it is too early. The pressure from Eloge and Cardiel has not reduced at all. The traitor is still hiding and Argenta has not revealed himself. A traitor carrying that tainted hydro art, yet presumptuously calling herself a pharaoh, and the most dangerous thing, is if Croya knows that the real pharaoh has appeared. The contract between the two will end and she will leave Argenta. In Diello's head he always thought about the girl he secretly loved. If only Croya was the real pharaoh, not this person. Croya is the person who excels more than anyone else in Argenta in every aspect. What exactly is it? What is the difference between her and Croya? What does she have that Croya does not? What is it that makes her become my pharaoh and not someone else? If I can find that thing. The more he spoke, his body shrunk, his mood began to be chaotic. But still trying to stay awake, ordering the guards, from ancient times, what makes a person be chosen to become a pharaoh? If necessary, I will trace every piece of this traitor's past. Investigate her, do not miss anything, obey. A lowly traitor is not qualified to become the Argenta madam. Venia, seeing Diello send people to arrest her, shouted loudly, what is this? He did not pay attention to her and only listened to his own thoughts. Currently I want a perfect person, letting her scream and struggle behind him. I am your pharaoh, you dare, let me go, Diello. Diello gently pulled the curtain, peeking at Croya from above. I no longer want a pharaoh that I am forced to love. I want a person that I can't help but love. Only when seeing her did his mood become better. Piel stood outside knocking on the door of Croya's study. Sorry, madam. Hearing her voice, she immediately let her in. Come in. Piel handed the stack of papers she had brought to her. I have brought the map that you requested. Croya was very satisfied with her work ethic. Oh, thank you. She eagerly looked through those documents. I have to start preparing step by step from now on. Croya carefully instructed. Piel, use a fake name to slowly buy land around there. Make sure no one recognizes it. Piel bowed, accepting the task. I understand. Croya also did not forget to instruct, and do not forget to buy it with my money. Suddenly she asked, also, can you create a new commoner identity for me to use? Piel was not sure if he was understanding correctly, so he quickly asked, Madam is talking about a false identity. Then. Croya nodded, almost automatically. Yes, I can't go to this land and live as Croya Lowe's, right? As they were discussing this, the door was suddenly pushed open. Croya, she said, a little surprised to see who it was. Diello. Diello even pretended to be polite, asking, may I come in? Croya could only smile and go along with it. You already came in. Welcome. He approached her with a somber expression. Oh. You are looking at data related to the Daisy Forest in the central region again, Croya answered without hesitation. Yes, I have to look at it whenever I have time. Seeing how happy she was, Diello could not help but ask repeatedly, are you really going to the Daisy Forest? Croya could only sigh and explain why she wanted to go to the Daisy Forest. I have to. When the real pharaoh arrives, my presence as the ex-wife will definitely be a nuisance. But suddenly she remembered something. That is right, the real pharaoh. Come to think of it, it has been a long time since I researched Radius Argenta, has not it? If so, according to the original storyline, it is about time the real pharaoh arrives, right? No, has the time she arrives already passed, while Croya was still lost in thought and worried. Diello stood close to her, enticing her. Croya, just become an Argenta. The suddenness of it caught her off guard. Excuse me, why all of a sudden? Diello, it is not as easy as you say. He put on an innocent face, looking at her and asking in a pleading tone, why? Faced with this handsome and adorable appearance, Croya could not restrain herself. Ugh. She started groaning, holding her head. They say there is no friendship between men and women. How do you plan to explain me then? Diallo casually replied very easily, I will simply introduce you as an Argenta. Croya became even more frightened because the matter was not as simple as he thought. Oh my god, Diallo, if you do that, I will be in big trouble. I will have to be careful around the new wife and get caught up in the gossip of high society. Just thinking about it is terrible. For those reasons, I respectfully decline. I want to live my old age in peace. To do that, the only way is for me to leave. No matter what, her final decision was to leave in peace. Hearing that Croya wanted to leave him, Diallo put on a very pitiful face, like an abandoned puppy. That face is clearly sad. Hayes, how can he survive in this harsh world when he is so vulnerable? She could not do anything but comfort him. I will still visit sometimes, so do not make that face. Remembering the main topic, Croya looked up seriously and asked Diallo, by the way, is there still no news about the real pharaoh? When the real pharaoh was mentioned, his expression darkened. Even though she had already come to the door, Diallo still decided to lie to her. No, not yet. Hearing that, Croya's eyes widened in disbelief. Still, not yet, why? That sudden emotion quickly turned into pressure weighing on her. Her mood started to fall into anxiety again. Did I remember the order of events wrong, or did I miscalculate the time? That is impossible, right? Really, there is no news at all. Seriously, unable to believe her ears, Croya asked repeatedly, but the answer she received was still no. She could always feel it. There was something strange. What on earth is it? The only thing I did to distort the original story was saving Radius. Is that enough of an impact to change the time the real pharaoh arrives? I can't understand. Seeing Croya so agitated, Diallo hesitated and asked, you seem to be looking forward to the real pharaoh's arrival. Because he did not know she was a transmigrator. He felt a little uneasy when mentioning it. Not daring to look him straight in the eye, she replied, yes, that is right. I hope she arrives soon. Feeling that she wanted to leave him so much, he sulked and went along with it. I agree. But Croya did not pay attention. She focused all her attention on the sudden change in the storyline. I can't do anything right now. I will have to monitor the situation for a while longer. She worked non-stop until late in the evening. She leaned back in her chair, feeling a little frustrated. Phew, maybe because I feel uneasy, I can't concentrate on my work. I need to rest for a bit. The noise from outside the window immediately caught Croya's attention. Looking down, she saw Diallo and the other knights riding away hurriedly. Observing his face, it had turned very pale. Diallo, he does not look too good. Did another problem occur in the Infinite Sea? If it is a situation that Diallo has to go to, it could be serious. Thinking so, she went out of the room to find PL to understand the situation. PL, is something going on outside? Yes, madam. She reported in detail the words Diallo had said without missing a single word. He said that he was urgently leaving because something happened at the Infinite Sea border. The head of the family said it is not a big deal. Hearing that, Croya felt much more at ease. Seeing that he had time to send this message, it seems like it is really not a big deal. Only then did she return to her previous tired appearance, acting spoiled with PL. PL, I want to take a walk. I am having a hard time concentrating on work today. She took great care of Croya. I will escort madam immediately. As the two were walking down the stairs and chatting, we should go to the flower garden at sunset. Then suddenly Croya noticed the people standing below. Who are those people? A million questions quickly appeared in her head. They are the knights stationed on the 4th floor. Why are the 4th floor knights on the 1st floor? PL quickly reported back to her, the head of the family ordered them to be stationed here. Diallo gave the order. Croya stared at them, feeling a little confused. The 4th floor knights, who play an important role in the Argenta family, on the 1st floor, and Diallo personally gave the order. Something's a little strange. While she was still wondering, footsteps and a servant's hurried call came from upstairs. Madam. PL looked up and asked first, what is all this noise about? That maid hastily reported, in the head of the family's office, Mirda's contract is on fire. Croya was shocked to hear that the documents were on fire. She clenched her fist when she thought about the possibility. Don't tell me. PL understood what she meant and replied, yes, it seems he violated the rules. Croya could not believe that the closest person to her was a traitor. He finally betrayed us, Mirda, which family did he leak my information to, and right when Diallo is away. She quickly left with the two maids to catch up with Diallo in time. Diallo is on a campaign right now, so we have to catch up with him immediately. Is there any way to know Mirda's location? According to information from anonymous people, his path is towards the northern border, perhaps the last known movement. Cut to the next scene, the northern border is the Cardial family of the wind. Croya carefully calculated the route. If it is the border region, Mirda plans to cross the territory of Cardial. The person he leaked the secret to is probably Cardiel. But the road between Cardiel and Argenta is blocked by a mountain range. How could he think of crossing the mountains when Argenta could just set them on fire to deal with it? No, there is no need to go by land, right? She voiced her thoughts to the two maids. There is also the option of going by boat and by sea. Mirda must have gone by boat with someone who controls the wind. A boat that cuts through the water with the wind is many times faster than going by land. PL also agreed with that thought. That method is certainly possible. But, if that is the case, Mirda is probably in a position that we can't catch up to. But Croy denied it, perhaps she had her plan. No, we can catch up. She confidently threw the door open. Because in the end, it is on the water. We will chase after them immediately. Outside the coast, the Amos group were talking. Thank you, Your Highness, thanks to your personal visit, we were able to finish everything quickly. Diello replied. It is a relief that no magician-type monsters appeared in the fourth area like last time. Clean up the area quickly, Amos. The commander of the first area immediately obeyed upon hearing that. Understood. After finishing speaking, Amos could not help but think to himself, this is strange. I definitely reported to Cassilis that a small force was enough to handle this. But the head of the family personally participated in the battle. Moreover, it has been a long time since he resolved everything with just a sword, not with his fire. I can feel the emotions from the tip of his sword. Is something happening? Right at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out, Croya, become a part of Argenta. The image of Croya suddenly appeared in Diello's mind along with the words, I will have to politely decline, I want to live my old age in peace, I hate Argenta. The more he thought about it, the more Diello's face twisted. He said to himself, she hates the idea of staying in Argenta that much, Croya. Always plotting to leave the mansion, and as if that was not enough, even planning to retire. More than anything, with an excited face, as if nothing was wrong. Why am I in such a bad mood? I am very uncomfortable to the point that. Thinking up to this point, Diello suddenly spoke up, I am going crazy. Seeing his angry appearance, the Amos group standing from a distance could not help but break out in a cold sweat, thinking to themselves, is he just venting his anger on everything? At this moment, Diello's hand suddenly bulged with veins. Meanwhile, Cassilis suddenly froze and exclaimed in surprise, yes. Diello coldly said, where was the last reported location of the traitor, Mirda? Cassilis immediately replied, the northern coast. As soon as he heard that, Diello clenched his palm and said to himself, perfect timing, my bad mood has not improved at all, this time is great. Then he quickly gave the order, prepare a ship, we are going to the northern coast. Amos standing behind him immediately reminded him, Your Highness, our people have already set off to capture him. However, Diello only calmly said, I know. This time, according to the procedure, the punishment of the traitor will not be handled at the mansion, I will handle it myself, on the spot. On the ship in the middle of the sea, a question suddenly rang out, PL, you said a periodic whirlpool moves in the sea in front of Cardiel, right? It was the Croy group, she was calmly enjoying the scenery and asking, when did you say the whirlpool subsides? PL immediately replied, there is a report that it happened 2 days ago. So there won't be one today at least. Mirda and a person from Cardiel are probably on an uninhabited island nearby, waiting for the whirlpool to subside. As Croya was gathering strength in her palm, she said, the fact that they are waiting on an uninhabited island means that the whirlpool is about to disappear. We might not be late, but that does not mean we have free time, we need to speed up. I see the uninhabited island. Speaking up to this point, Croya suddenly observed her surroundings and was full of vigilance, but there are 2 ships. However, the strange thing was that those ships suddenly caught fire, making her extremely confused. What? Croya was filled with bewilderment, saying to herself, fire, in the middle of the ocean. Don't tell me. As soon as she said this, Croya quickly set foot on the small island. As soon as she saw the person in front of her, she froze and called out, Diel, oh. Diello was standing right in front of her. The eyes that were looking at him suddenly looked elsewhere. There were corpses, the dead people were piled up amidst fresh blood. Meanwhile, Diello's sword was dyed bright red. At this moment, Diello suddenly spoke up, what is it? How did you get here, Croya? Under Diello's question, Croya suddenly fell silent. A moment later, she replied, I received a report that Mirda's contract was on fire in the office, so I came in your place. But, did you do it yourself, Diello? As he approached her, Diello coldly said, it is sad to have to execute the contract, I wrote it hoping it would never be broken. Moreover, I never imagined you would come all the way here, Croya. With a face full of panic, Croya immediately explained, I also never thought I would see you here, Diello, more precisely. I never thought I would see this side of you, Diello. As soon as she finished speaking, Diello covered her eyes, he gently said, I am sorry for showing you such an unpleasant side of me. While letting him cover her eyes, Kroya added, I realized Mirta broke the contract while you were on a military campaign, so I came here immediately. As soon as the words left her mouth, she could not help but think to herself, the smell of blood. Diallo immediately spoke up, yes, when the contract was broken, I also felt a reaction. As she heard him speak, Kroya's train of thought appeared, it is obvious that the Argenta family strictly punishes traitors, it might be obvious, but has Diallo always been this kind of person? Right at this moment, Diallo suddenly called out, Kroya. Kroya quickly replied, yes. As he placed his hand on Kroya's shoulder, Diallo asked, you said you were going to leave Argenta, right? Kroya quickly replied, I did say that. In the next second, Diallo monologued, I doubt you would go around blabbing Argenta's secrets like that, but you already know about Argenta's affairs, right? So you will need to sign a contract to leave, right? As expected, you catch on very quickly. Then just stay in Argenta, you belong to Argenta. After listening for a while, Kroya felt extremely confused, Diallo, we already talked about this. However, Diallo still calmly spoke up, not just me, many people in Argenta want you. Kroya, I will try my best to convince Pharaoh. The more she listened, the more surprised Kroya felt, what, convince Pharaoh, what does that mean? Before she could finish speaking, Diallo quickly interrupted. Pharaoh's opinion does not matter, no, I can make it not matter. This made Kroya a little stunned. Diallo gently stroked her hair and persuaded, please, Kroya. Under this situation, Kroya could only clench her palms and helplessly call out, Diallo. Meanwhile, Diallo still spoke with a face full of disappointment, you will become a member of this Argenta, you will make me sad. Looking at his appearance, Kroya was extremely flustered, thinking to herself, if you try to keep me with that face, you are making my heart flutter. You. The space between the two of them seemed to stop flowing, a moment full of silence. After a while, Kroya spoke up, I think I will. Before she could finish speaking, she noticed Diallo's hand trembling terribly and thought to herself, you are trembling, Diallo. At this moment, Diallo suddenly said, I hate having to say goodbye, Kroya, Argenta C, only brings me separations. Kroya was filled with embarrassment, thinking, that is right, I only know half of the original story, but I am sure it was planned like this, the young Diallo sitting by the sea, waiting wearily for a knight who fell on the battlefield 10 days before that. But the Diallo of that year still was not willing to accept that. I understand why an emotional person like Diallo would be so distressed. After thinking for a while, Kroya immediately reassured, okay, calm down now. As she hugged Diallo, Kroya gently said, I promise you. I won't leave suddenly. Holding her tightly in his arms, Diallo asked again, promise, in the next second, Kroya immediately agreed, yes, I promise. Diallo suddenly expressed his feelings, I do not want to leave you, Kroya. Kroya gently said, we will definitely be together until Pharaoh comes, and I won't leave, right after she comes. As soon as he heard this, Diallo was extremely happy, thank you. Meanwhile, Kroya pondered, I have to train his spirit to be stable before I leave, even at this moment. He is still being careful not to touch my wound. Right at this moment, PL standing from a distance suddenly reminded, Your Grace, Madam, sorry for interrupting, but it is time to pack up. As soon as she heard that, Kroya was startled and amazed, ah, that is right. Then she quickly smiled and said, Diallo, let us go. Diallo immediately agreed, As soon as the words left his mouth, he shouted loudly, erase all traces and return to Argenta immediately. Everyone quickly followed, answering in unison, yes. In the room, as Kroya sat next to Diallo, she spoke up, by the way, Diallo, you need to practice your expressions again. As soon as he heard this, Diallo was taken aback, practice expressions, Kroya replied, that is right. If you were to reveal the face you just made in front of the enemy, it would be no different from being easy prey for them. Try to make a scary face. Diallo immediately listened to her, quickly making a scary expression and asking, like this. However, under his appearance, Kroya could only helplessly think to herself, he looks like he is sulking over dinner. Then she spoke up loudly and resolutely, it is not working, alright, I will teach you myself then. How to appear tough, how to act like a capable king, something like that, anyway, I am not as naive as you, Diallo, that is why I will be a good teacher for you. As soon as he heard this, Diallo smiled happily like a flower, saying, being taught by you is an honor for me, Kroya. Kroya immediately reminded him, hey. First of all, you can't keep grinning like that all the time. Rest now, I will go check the situation, the monsters are more aggressive at night, so leave it to me. As soon as she said this, Diallo's expression suddenly turned cold. In the next second, he drew his sword. With a dark and scary face, Diallo immediately cut his hand. As soon as she heard the strange sound, Kroya quickly turned around to look. It was Diallo's arm, he was bleeding a lot. Kroya could not help but worry and immediately approached to ask, Diallo, your hand is bleeding. Meanwhile, Diallo took advantage of her inattention to push the dagger under the small chair. Kroya worriedly asked, "Oh my god, are you okay? Why did this happen suddenly? When did this wound appear? I did not see it just now." Diallo immediately replied. "During the battle, I felt his sword touch my hand, but the wound must have torn open later." Kroya hurriedly stood up and said, "Wait a minute, I will go find a doctor." As soon as he saw this, Diallo quickly grabbed her hand and begged, "No, please, just stay with me. In case there is still a possibility of a traitor. Then revealing my condition would be very dangerous, whether it is here, or at the mansion." His words directly convinced Kroya. She quickly replied, "You are right. Then let us stop the bleeding first and then decide. I will take care of the wound until it heals completely." Diallo said again while holding his painful wound, "Thank you, Kroya." Then he quickly switched to another topic. I thought he would make a wiser choice. As soon as she heard this, Kroya asked back, "Mirda?" Diallo said, "Yeah, because we have known each other for a long time." As soon as he said this, the two of them made eye contact. Kroya gave a forced smile and asked, "You think people you have known for a long time won't betray you?" Meanwhile, Diallo calmly replied, "Yeah." The more she listened, the more startled Kroya was, thinking to herself, "Really, this won't do, he is too naive, this will definitely mess up the plan. It seems like I have to take this opportunity to teach him a new lesson." As soon as she finished thinking, she spoke up, "Diallo, are you still investigating the people who plan to escape to Cardiel?" Diallo replied, "The insiders should have knew soon." The more she listened, the more Kroya thought in her mind, that is right, at least the intelligence unit is still trustworthy. The head of the intelligence unit, Rick, is absolutely loyal to Argenta. His nickname is Sunflower, a subordinate who is absolutely loyal. Finishing thinking, Kroya spoke up, "While the intelligence unit is investigating, we will personally eliminate the traitors." This made Diallo extremely curious. "How?" Kroya smiled and said, "Just wait and see." At another place, there were some whispers. "I heard Mirda betrayed us. It is the first time I have seen a traitor, since the previous duke was in power. But, I heard Cardiel is just taking advantage of Argenta after the escape." "Right, that is right. They only plan to extract information from Mirda and then dispose of him, those evil bastards. They dare spread rumors like that again. I think we can catch a few more traitors thanks to that. That is a great idea." As soon as she heard these whispers, Kroya thought to herself, thanks to the original Kroya's body, it still remembers very clearly how to handle situations like this. So I can make the most of it. Right at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. "These are the people who plan to escape because they heard the rumors and thought they could not escape to Cardiel anymore." But, they did not breathe a word. As he spoke, the knight turned around and asked, "What should we do, your grace?" Under this statement, Diallo could not help but ponder. Meanwhile, Kroya suddenly proposed, "If you allow me, I want to interrogate them myself." Under this situation, Diallo said, "It is not impossible, but they won't be easy to make talk. Even threatening to kill them might not make them confess." Kroya calmly replied, "Death is just one of the many tools to break a person's spirit. First of all, please help me prepare 2 rooms. It is best if there is a glass partition, and if there is not, then make sure they can hear each other. I will teach you how to make a person open their mouth without killing them, so watch carefully, understood?" As soon as she finished speaking, Diallo could not help but look forward to it, thinking, what is Kroya going to show me again? Why are her eyes so sparkly? While he was busy admiring Kroya, the knight standing next to him asked, "Your grace, should I do as she says?" Diallo immediately replied, "Do everything according to Madame's wishes." As soon as she heard that, Kroya thought to herself, as expected, the Argenta intelligence agency is frighteningly proficient. They obey Diallo like a sharp knife. But this is like Diallo has complete control over the intelligence agency. It must be because all the most loyal people in Argenta are gathered here. Diallo seemed to sense that Kroya was looking at him, and immediately turned his head to look at her. Then he smiled with a face full of joy. Diallo gently asked, "Do you need anything else?" Kroya quickly replied, "Ah, no, that is enough." Seeing this, Diallo immediately reminded, "Then let us go, Kroya." Kroya's voice suddenly rang out, "Listen carefully, from now on, the place where you are, the water will rise little by little. Because it is not just 1 or 2 people who want to go to Cardiel, so do it in the right order so as not to be suspected. I understand what they mean is that they want to retreat slowly. If that is the case then, that means you have contacted each other and agreed on the order beforehand, right?" As soon as she finished speaking, the 2 men fell silent. Under this situation, Kroya gave the order again, "Quickly pump more water into the bathtub." The subordinates quickly obeyed, "Yes." As he felt the rushing water, the man wearing the black robe exclaimed, "The water." The man in white was also very scared. Kroya coldly said, "Only the water on the side of the one who reveals the traitor's name will gradually decrease. The decreased water will flow to the opposite side." As soon as they heard these words, both men were extremely surprised. However, they still did not answer, making Kroya a little confused, still not opening their mouths. While witnessing her work, Diallo smiled and thought to himself, is she going to put more pressure on them, or will she do it the way she did in Elo's, to end this matter? At this time, the two men still refused to confess. This forced Croya to take strong action, raise all the water to the maximum. Immediately, the water rushed down torrentially, making them panic. The man in black suddenly cried out, Illinois, Elian. As soon as he was sprayed with water again, the man in white quickly interjected, Auntie, there is also someone named Auntie. Joe, Joubert, Ottavio, Ottavio. The more she heard these names, the darker Croya's face became. Meanwhile, the two people being gradually submerged begged for their lives, please, have mercy. Croya's whole body suddenly trembled. She gripped the hem of her dress tightly. This made Diallo feel strange. In the next second, he thought to himself, so she is trembling, why is she so scared? The evil Croya allows only because she was born with weak abilities. To the point of drowning the servants and allows who dared to look down on her. A personality that is extremely cruel and evil. That was the image of Croya allows that was known outside. But, as he thought of this, Diallo looked at Croya's appearance of trembling with fear. The more he looked, the more he secretly assessed, looking again, she is like someone who has never really played with anyone's life before. This is also a new image. Meanwhile, the two men were still trying to speak, there is nothing more, I am telling the truth. After listening for a while, Croya suddenly fell silent for a long time. Then she turned to ask, so there are 13 people, right? The knight immediately replied, yes, that is clearly it. As soon as she heard this, Croya thought to herself. Did you record it carefully, members of the intelligence agency? Her hand suddenly reached forward. In the next second, the chains on the man's hand were quickly released. The same with the feet. The two of them hurriedly leaned out of the water to breathe a sigh of relief. Croya suddenly turned to Diallo and said, Diallo, I am not sure if I want to know anything more, so I won't kill them first. If you have anything you want to know, just ask. As soon as he heard this, Diallo suspiciously asked back, ask directly. Croya gently took his hand and replied, yes, you are Duke Diallo. As soon as she finished speaking, she secretly thought, because you have to gradually get used to interrogating, even if you make a face like that, I have to endure it. Being torn apart in a messy way is better than being torn apart in a pure white state, Diallo. Meanwhile, Diallo was very cautiously and awkwardly speaking up, I will try, Croya. As soon as she heard that, Croya said back, then I will go rest for a while now. As soon as she went out, PL called out, Madam. Meanwhile, Croya was still very worried and confused, or should I stay with Diallo? However, in the next second, she immediately refuted her own thoughts, no, Diallo needs to be stronger. Come on, you can do it. Thinking so, she spoke up, PL, I have a place I want to go. PL could not help but be curious about this, yes, miss, where do you want to go? Croya replied, the first floor of the main building that the fourth floor soldiers guarded last time. I have to investigate why the fourth floor soldiers were sent down to the first floor. Inside the room, the two men were still being interrogated. Diallo stood in front of the two of them. His face did not even show a bit of emotion. Under the life or death situation, the two men kept begging, have mercy, please have mercy, your grace, if you spare our lives, we will live as if we are dead. Diallo coldly said, if Croya has spared your lives, perhaps I should also be merciful and let it go. As soon as he heard that, the man in white approached the shore and replied, thank you, your grace. At this moment, suddenly red flames appeared on Diallo's hand along with the words, however, I am an unrefined beast, different from Croya's expectations. As soon as he finished speaking, he made everything engulfed in a sea of fire. Diallo coldly spoke up, I will give you one of two choices. Outside the hall. Croya could not help but look at the person in front of her in confusion. She pondered for a long time. The more she looked around, the more Croya suspiciously thought, it is strange. Before, it was full of soldiers on the fourth floor, but now there are only soldiers on the first floor. The assignment of the fourth floor soldiers, who are the core manpower of Argenta, must have a reason. Clearly. To guard this door. Thinking of this, Croya spoke up, PL, if you go inside, what would it be? PL immediately replied, it is the path to the basement. This made Croya very surprised, the basement, then she could not help but think, in the original story. This place was only used as an area that servants were not allowed to enter. But the fact that there are so many fourth floor knights here means that there is something important inside. Just as she was about to open the door and enter, Diallo suddenly appeared behind her and called out, Croya. I wonder if you have ever heard that a wife can go anywhere with her husband. Only the basement is not allowed, the Mad Earl once said that. As soon as she heard this, Croya was confused, could Diallo be that Mad Earl? Diallo smiled and said, I am a Mad Duke. As soon as she heard these words, Croya felt confused in her heart, what, this is clearly letting me in, I do not know why he has to hide it so much, but hiding it like that is even stranger. Strange but, if I enter without permission, I am afraid it will end with a death flag. As soon as she finished thinking, she smiled happily and said, "You told me not to go. So I won't go." "How is the interrogation of the traitors progressing?" Diallo replied, "Yes, it is going okay." Croya could not help but encourage him. "That is good then try to work a little harder, Diallo." At this moment, Diallo suddenly suggested, "Croya, do you want to try going down to the basement?" This made Croya very confused, "But the Earl won't open the door, right?" Diallo instead smiled and immediately replied, "I am the Duke." Under this situation, Croya did not know what else to say, only blankly thinking, it is really an extremely unreasonable reason. But since he has allowed it, there is no reason to refuse. Then she quickly said, "Okay, then let us go." The door slowly opened. Diallo walked in front, leading the way. Inside, flickering spots of light were shining. The two of them slowly walked down the stairs. Then they went deep inside the basement. After walking for a while, Croya felt strange. Seeing the statue in front of her, Croya was very suspicious, a statue of a god. Diallo immediately explained, "That is a statue of the sea god." As soon as she heard this, Croya became even more thoughtful. "That is really strange, a statue of the sea god is in the basement of Argenta. Of fire, what would people who value power do if they rely on the gods?" At this moment, suddenly a voice rang out, "Please come in, madam." This made Croya could not help but be curious, "Who is it?" Rick immediately appeared, smiling and replying, "My name is Rick, a loyal and devout follower of Argenta. I currently serve as the head of the intelligence department. It is truly an honor to meet madam." Croya quickly withdrew her hand from Rick's hand and replied, "Okay, nice to meet you." While looking at the person in front of her, she was thinking, he is the head of the intelligence department of Argenta, that naive and crazy Rick, as expected. Thinking so, Croya asked, "But what are you doing here?" Rick quickly replied, "I am praying for the safety and peace of Argenta." The more she listened, the more Croya felt confused. Rick, a fanatic of Argenta, is praying to the sea god. That is suspicious. I do not know what it is for, but one thing is certain. Rick is lying. At this time, Diallo suddenly interjected, "Actually, this place was originally an underground prison." Croya thought, as expected, this place was only built hastily, then immediately asked, "So why is it different now?" Diallo smiled and said, "We prepared it in advance, in case Madame Croya might need it, because Allos originally believed in the sea god, we have only just placed the statue of the god." As soon as she heard this, Croya immediately understood, "So that is it." Diallo immediately reminded, "Let us go up now, Croya." Croya obediently listened and replied, "Yes." While looking at the two people in front of her, she anxiously thought, although there is something a little uneasy, but it is probably nothing big, right? Outside, the moonlight was shining brightly. While looking at the scenery outside, Croya was thinking, it is already dark, I have to rest slowly. At this moment, a notification suddenly rang out from outside, "Madam, I have something to report." Croya suspiciously asked, "Come in, what is the matter?" PL quickly replied, "There is a report that a fire broke out in the annex building. Fortunately the fire did not spread to the entire building." This made Croya very surprised. "What, there is a fire in Argenta, how could that happen?" PL smiled and replied, "Even people who raise pet dogs can get bitten one day. This is an unexpected accident." Croya suddenly fell silent, filled with thoughtful thoughts. An unexpected accident, or what, even if there is no damage, but to be so calm. While Mirda's betrayal and a series of traitors being dealt with have only just begun, and the Argenta Intelligence Agency is known for creating unexpected accidents. Moreover, that is right, a fire broke out in Argenta, where fire is controlled. Is this truly a simple accident? If you call it a coincidence, everything fits together as if it was arranged. After thinking for a while, she helplessly put her hand to her forehead and reminded, "I know, you can go out now." PL quickly replied, "Yes, madam." Croya went to bed alone. While lying on the bed, she was immersed in her thoughts. "I know Argenta never shows mercy to enemies, but now I feel even more nervous. Suppose the time comes when I have to leave this family. What will my fate be? Of course I will still have to maintain a close relationship with Argenta. But unexpected things often happen in Argenta. Perhaps I have to express myself more, to prove that even if I leave, I still belong to Argenta's side." At this moment, Croya suddenly dreamed that she was immersed in dense smoke and fire. "It is too hot. Wait, that child, could it be?" As soon as she saw the boy in front of her, she could not help but be surprised and shocked. Diallo. The fire grew bigger and bigger. The large stone pillar slowly collapsed. It directly blocked Croya. Croya could only helplessly think, "It is too hot, I can't breathe. First I have to put out the fire." Just as she was about to use her power, she realized that she could not, making Croya extremely confused. "The power of water, I can't use it. The moisture around has all evaporated, so I can't use it anymore. Anyway, I have to avoid it. Right now this building will collapse, and Diallo will be buried in the rubble. Why am I? Who is that child, and what is the next situation? I can know it. A dream." so that is it, this is a dream. It is the painful nightmare of Kroya in the original story, it can't be wrong. The young Diallo in the dense smoke and fire was crying and trembling in helplessness. The more she looked, the more Kroya pondered, thinking about it. I believe that child is Diallo, a fire controller like Diallo, there should be no reason to be trembling here. Even so then. I can't just leave it like this. Thinking of this, she approached and asked, little boy, let us get out of here together. As soon as he heard the call, Diallo looked up. Catching sight of his appearance, Kroya thought, black hair, blue eyes, as expected this child. At this moment, Diallo suddenly said, I can't go. This fire is too big and too hot. I can't get out. Under this situation, Kroya could only helplessly cry out, wait. In the next second, she woke up with a start and shouted, Diallo. Diallo lying next to her could not help but be startled and replied, yes. He hurriedly sat up. As soon as she saw him, Kroya thought, the reality is Diallo, right? Seeing her appearance, Diallo immediately asked, Kroya, did you have a nightmare? Your face does not look good, and you were frantically calling my name while half awake. Kroya replied, yes, I was just in a burning house with a little boy, it was a trapped dream. I dream sometimes, so it is not too scary, I am fine, so do not worry too much. Seeing this, Diallo held her hand tightly and smiled, if that is the case, then that is great. However, Kroya's heart was still filled with worry, actually, this is the first dream I have had after transmigrating. It is too real, so it scares me. And because Kroya in the original story often suffered from nightmares, perhaps dreams like this will continue, no matter how much I am tormented by dreams. I can't let another nightmare happen in real life, we must protect this Lily. At this moment, Kroya suddenly spoke up, Diallo, come to think of it. It is almost time for the council to take place, right? Diallo replied, that is right. The council, every 3 years, the 3 families gather together to discuss how to protect the place that was promised to be preserved since ancient times. A conference to discuss. But lately, it has only become a place to test each other's strength, and restrain each other. As she thought of this, Kroya was filled with embarrassment, the crisis has come right before my eyes, this is truly a difficult situation. Diallo's Lily, if it continues to shine as clearly as it does now, it will definitely be suspected. What should I do? Duke Allows, who knows that I am just a fake pharaoh. He will be angry because his plot can't progress, even though he has extorted money under the pretext of using charm, and Duke Cardiel, who believes I am the real pharaoh. He will find it suspicious that Diallo, the weakest family head in Argenta's history, has not obtained pharaoh, he will definitely try to find out my plan. In the current situation, the overly prominent Lily is a big obstacle, in the council, I must at least dim the Lily. While she was lost in thought, Diallo suddenly interrupted shyly, it is itchy, Kroya. Seeing this face of his, Kroya could not help but shyly sit up and say, what is that reaction for? Anyone who sees it will think I am touching you. I do not have any other intentions, I am just thinking of a way to dim the Lily before the council. Diallo immediately replied, that is right, that is the key point. Kroya spoke up, I think that in this council, only if the Lily is hidden can the other 2 families be negligent. While touching the Lily on his chest, Diallo agreed, exactly, they will definitely try every means to verify my Lily. Kroya asked a little suspiciously, there is a limit to covering it with a shawl, right? Diallo replied, yes, after all, a shawl can't hide the magic of the Lily. As soon as she heard this, Kroya became thoughtful again, you are right. Even I can feel the strange magic from the Lily, an ancient power, which is both the power of Pharaoh and the thing that prevents the power of the family head Diallo Argenta. In the 3 families, anyone with magic will recognize the power of the Lily. Therefore, just covering the Lily does not solve anything, you have to hide the magic of the Lily, then you can completely deceive them, how should I deal with this? After thinking for a while, Kroya suddenly said, I have a way. This made Diallo could not help but be curious. Kroya spoke up, I know someone who can hide magic, but, there is a problem. As soon as he heard this, Diallo suspiciously asked, what is that problem? Kroya quickly replied, that person is currently in Allows. Neria, a staunch loyalist to the power and blood of Allows. Initially, he was an intelligence officer for Earl Allows and was dispatched as a special agent for a particular task. Neria and his family possess unique disguise capabilities, an ability capable of concealing magic. He overheard Earl Allows' scheme to impersonate Pharaoh. Despite being a second son, Kroya Allows, sharing the same Allows bloodline, was treated as a mere tool. Witnessing the ruthlessness of the current family head, he developed a profound sense of empathy. Eventually, after being discovered eavesdropping on Earl Allows' conspiracy, he was hunted down and died at the hands of his own Allows family. In Kroya's thoughts, this is the information and events from the original story about him. But, when did Neria overhear Earl Allows' plan, I wonder? One thing is certain, it was not now. I only remember that he was exposed right before the meeting. Either way, it must be at the right time. As soon as she finished thinking, she smiled and spoke up, Diallo, there is someone who can help us in Alos, his name is Neria. If we use Neria's disguise abilities, we can conceal the magic, then we can deceive both families and safely attend the meeting. So it is. I will try to reconcile with Neria. This made Diallo extremely surprised. Do you have a special way? Croya immediately replied, perhaps, Neria serves the power and blood of Alos. So I think that the blood of Alos must be respected no matter what, therefore, when he knows that I was sent to Argenta as a fake pharaoh, and a tool of Duke Alos, he will feel betrayed by Duke Alos. Even so, he is still a staunch loyalist to Alos. After listening for a while, Diallo was filled with hesitation. Is it possible to reconcile? Croya smiled and replied, yes, fortunately. Neria does not serve Duke Alos, but serves Alos. I think it is likely that way. So let us think of the best way to persuade Neria, because the time until the meeting is not long. Diallo's face suddenly filled with anticipation, asking, so what else will you teach me? Croya smiled and replied, of course, if last time I taught you how to arouse fear then. This time I will show you how to reconcile in a really gentle way. At another place, a voice suddenly rang out, the results of the Neria surveillance. Right now he is being chased by the staff of the Duke Alos house. As soon as she heard this, the hand stirring her coffee suddenly stopped and asked, being chased? Rick quickly replied, yes, your grace, it is said that he knows some secret of Alos. As soon as he heard this, Diallo's eyes suddenly became serious and said, if it is a secret of Alos. Croya immediately interjected, it is probably talking about me then. It is very likely that Neria knows I am a fake pharaoh. Diallo gave a forced smile and replied, that is not very good news for me either. At this moment, Rick excitedly proposed, then let me get rid of Neria. However, Croya shook her head and immediately refused, no, we really need Neria's abilities right now. If the reconciliation with Neria fails, I will consider getting rid of him, but, we are still in a situation where we have not tried to reconcile yet, so we can't act rashly. Diallo immediately agreed, that is exactly right, the key issue is how to persuade him. Croya frowned and said, that is right, in her heart she was full of determination, I absolutely can't let Neria slip away. Right now, he is the only one who can use special disguises. There is still a chance. At this moment, Diallo suspiciously asked, Croya, what do you think about sending someone ahead first, and then bringing Neria back? Croya smiled evilly and replied, no, let us wait a little longer. This made Diallo could not help but be confused. In the meantime, Neria might get eliminated. It is said that Alos assassins are the most ruthless and cold-blooded in the family. Croya did not answer, only immersed in her thoughts. Anyway, Neria won't die in one go. According to the original story, Neria will escape until the end, and he will be caught after he is exhausted. If we just need to save him right before that moment. Then in that place, I will directly negotiate with Neria. Finishing thinking, Croya put her hand on Diallo's and called out, Diallo. Diallo quickly replied, yes. Croya said with a happy smile, if we appear dramatically at a critical moment, won't he devote his loyalty to us, so. Just follow me this time, I will teach you well. Rick quickly received the order, yes, madam, Croya seriously ordered, follow Neria secretly. Help him right before he dies with the Alos people. Rick smiled without answering. This made Croya very confused, Mr. Rick, did you hear what I said? Under that question, Rick suddenly startled and woke up, yes. I understand, Croya praised a little at this statement, good. Meanwhile, Diallo was still attentively looking at her with fascination. Not long after that, the letter showed very clearly the words, Argenta just happens to have a happy event, I think we should take this opportunity to celebrate. So this meeting should be held in Argenta. As soon as he finished reading, Diallo spoke up, Croya, anyway, the location of this meeting will be held at the Argenta resort. This made Croya could not help but happily assess, then that is good, compared to the other families, conducting it in Argenta has more advantages. Diallo said, yes, the opening is in a week. PL, quickly prepare for the meeting. PL immediately obeyed, I understand. Diallo continued to ask seriously, Rick, what is Neria's current location? Rick quickly replied, it is the Tilla Pass, and it seems he will soon be caught by the Alos people. As soon as she heard this, Croya quickly thought, it is now. Then she immediately stood up and said, Diallo, get ready to go out. We must save Neria from danger. At Neria's location where he was being chased, a voice echoed, listen clearly, Neria. Our assassin family has served Alos from generation to generation, stop. Although everyone in the family, except for you and me, must face the end of the mission, but do not complain. We can exist to this day, all thanks to the clear water of Alos. Our family must protect Alos, however. Because there are clearly people who are not worth serving. After holding Neria back, the Alos henchman spoke up, you are really slippery like an eel, I have finally caught you, anyway, you are about to lose your life, I mean, die beautifully. Neria helplessly said, these guys. Meanwhile, the voice continued to echo, you must constantly doubt. With a cold gaze, Neria affirmed, even though you know Duke Alo's dirty plan, you still secretly acknowledge it. This statement made the Alo's henchmen suddenly fell silent. Then they sneered disdainfully and asked, are those your last words? Coldly speaking, as the father is, so is the son. Useless long-windedness. Looking at the people in front of him, Neria only said coldly and cursed, you trash, do not insult my family and my father, who sacrificed their lives for Alo's. I won't protect Alo's for you worthless people. The Alo's henchman smiled excitedly and replied, although I do not know how your ancestors died, did not your father attack Arzenta and die? At this moment, Neria suddenly sat down under the tree and said, at that time, the death of the previous Duke and Duchess had taken up all his attention. Besides, my father was killed while disguised as an ordinary person. Before my father died, the only one who saw his disguised image was the head of Alo's. Did you think I would not know? And one more thing, Duke Alo's cruelly killed the Duke and Duchess of Arzenta, they abandoned my father, who was always loyal to Alo's, even the second son of the Alo's bloodline was sold to Arzenta, pushing him to death. These animals are not even as good as him, he said while clenching his palm, while the voice from somewhere echoed out, the Lord deserves loyalty, you must confirm again. Neria pointed straight at the Alo's henchman in front of him and affirmed, Duke Alo's and you do not have the qualifications to belong to Alo's, from now on, do not pollute Alo's anymore. The henchman fell silent for a long time. Then they spoke while stroking the knife, originally, I was going to kill you with a knife neatly. But I am someone who likes to get involved in many things. I will finish you with that hungry wolf. Seeing their power, Neria was a little stunned. He could not help but anxiously think, these guys. Where did the power come from? Could it be near the source? Crap, because I was busy running away, I could not determine the direction, I missed the river that flows near Tilla Pass, even if the individual power is weak. As long as there is water, the source of Alo's flows through. Then they will become even stronger thanks to that auxiliary power. With the current situation, I am extremely disadvantaged. Even so, I can't give up, Neria thought as he tried to gather strength. Seeing his appearance, the Alo's henchman immediately spoke up, you are also planning to borrow the power of the source, to fight me, commendable for the effort, but it won't work. Stop Neria. As soon as the words left their mouths, they directly attacked Neria. He was hit hard and slammed into the tree afterwards. Neria could not help but frown in pain. However, before he could recover, he was startled by the scene in front of him. The power of the people had materialized, coldly affirming, if you are helpless, then blame yourself. As soon as the words left their mouths, the big wolf directly lunged at Neria. The Alo's henchman ordered, eat cleanly without leaving any traces. The wolf quickly opened its mouth. Under this power, Neria could only helplessly close his eyes and wait for death. However, in the next second, a voice suddenly rang out, stop. This made Neria could not help but be curious and suspicious. The Alo's henchmen were also very surprised. A hand suddenly appeared out of nowhere. While attentively observing the scene in front of him, Neria was thinking, that person. That person was none other than Kroya, she said coldly, come here. The two wolves slowly backed away from Neria. In the next second, they were subdued by Kroya. As soon as they saw her, the people in front of them were surprised and shouted, Kroya Alo's. The Alo's henchmen shouted with pale faces, now the water has been taken under control, she is clearly stronger than us, that is impossible. Damn it, what are you looking at so mindlessly, join forces and take back the power of domination, do not waver because a second child has no reason to be particularly stronger than us. Then the people quickly said, Kroya Alo's, I do not know what trick you used but with your meager abilities. However, as soon as they finished speaking, the people were surrounded by their own wolves, making them even more panicked and worried, what to do. Kroya coldly spoke, what did you say just now? Eat cleanly without leaving any traces. Immediately, the wolves followed her order. The screams immediately rang out in the next second, help. Meanwhile, the voice from somewhere echoed in Neria's head, imprint it one last time, Neria. When you see someone worthy of the title of Lord of Alo's, be loyal with your whole life. At this time, Kroya turned to smile and look at Neria and asked, Neria is the last descendant of the Dark Sword family, right? She smiled very gently. This made Neria could not help but be stunned for a long time. Then he stood up and replied, yes, I am Neria. Thank you for saving me. Kroya smiled and replied, in that situation, it is very difficult to know my identity. Thank you for being honest. And do you know who I am? Neria replied, you are Kroya Alo's. However, Kroya immediately refuted, no, wrong, I am Kroya Argenta. This made Neria could not help but be stunned and blank. His face clearly showed confusion. Seeing this, Kroya spoke up, I will be blunt. You know my secret, right? Neria was still silent without answering. Under this situation, Kroya continued to say, as you know, It is a difficult secret if it is revealed. At this moment, Neria suddenly felt something unusual and glanced to the side. His heart could not help but think, strong killing intent. So it is being wary of me, he must suspect that I am on the same side as Duke Aloes or not. In the next second, suddenly a sharp knife was held to his neck. It was Croya's subordinates. She could not help but remind, stay still. In the next second, they immediately backed away. With a dark face, Neria suddenly spoke up, is this Croya truly following that plan? As soon as she heard this question, Croya pondered. He finally asked the question I was waiting for, intending to ask if the plan to use me as a bloodline tool of Aloes. That is, the question means whether I am on the same side as the Duke or not. From now on is the most important. Thinking so, Croya said confidently, say it again, I am not Croya Aloes. But Croya Argenta. As you can see, I have joined hands with Argenta. I will use the fake pharaoh plan to attack Aloes. I have no intention of dying from being used as a tool. So I am not on the same side as Aloes. Neria was silent for a while after listening to those words. Seeing his appearance, Croya could not help but happily think, as expected, he has been drawn in, then, from now on, say what you want. Croya quickly spoke up, the power of Aloes must be used to protect Aloes, even if I am the second child of Duke Aloes, he is the one who does not hesitate to use his blood as a tool. Such a person can't reason for Aloes. That is why I, currently, do not trust Duke Aloes. The more Neria listened, the more stunned he became. Croya continued to say, I heard that the Dark Swordsman has a deep loyalty to the Aloes family. But Duke Aloes did not recognize a loyalist, and wanted to kill you. I think you were right not to submit to him. Neria's hand suddenly clenched when he heard these words. Meanwhile, Croya continued to speak, I do not know what kind of person you saw me as in the past, but I at the present can protect you from the Duke. As soon as she finished speaking, she quickly dispelled her power. Croya said seriously, Mr. Neria. Neria was still in a daze. Croya suddenly raised her hand to the sky. Immediately, power gathered in her palm. Croya seriously controlled the power. The water quickly combined together. As soon as he saw the scene, Neria was stunned. Croya's voice continued to ring out, the one who has protected the blood of the Aloes family through many generations, and is an upright loyalist, who has never tarnished that honor. Why not try to be loyal to me now, another Aloes? Croya smilingly suggested. Under this situation, Neria's face was a little dazed. However, in the next second, he smiled. Neria immediately knelt down in complete submission, if you need my humble ability, then I am willing to follow. He was kneeling before Croya. As soon as she saw this, Croya was extremely happy, success, great. She quickly spread her hand out. Neria also looked up. Croya said with a smile, I am counting on you, Neria. Neria immediately stood up. Then he shook her hand and replied, I look forward to your help, Croya. Croya happily said, welcome to Argenta. While the two of them were shaking hands, Diallo was attentively watching from afar. He could not help but happily blush. In his thoughts, Croya's voice suddenly rang out, because there is no time, ride a horse, the next group will bring the carriage. She rode alone straight ahead. As soon as she found Neria, she said, I found him, Neria is with the Aloes people. I do not know why I feel like I can handle it alone, is it because it is near the source? I will try doing it alone here, you just watch carefully. The more he thought about it, the happier Diallo was, exclaiming, Croya. You are really. At this time, Croya was still attentively talking to Neria. She suddenly called, Diallo, come here. Diallo immediately smiled and replied, yes. In the next second, Croya introduced, this is Mr. Neria. Diallo quickly smiled and said, hello, I am the Duke of Argenta, Diallo Argenta. As soon as he saw him, Neria secretly assessed, this person is Diallo Argenta, he looks as weak as rumored. Then he shook hands and introduced, I am Neria. Croya said, then Diallo, let us go back to Argenta first, the sun is starting to set. Diallo immediately obeyed, yes, let us decide that, the carriage is also coming soon. Croya's group slowly walked forward. Neria kept glancing around. It was Diallo's nights filled with killing intent. Seeing that Neria seemed to still be wary, Croya standing next to him immediately spoke up, strange, the atmosphere in Argenta is a little different from in Aloes. The Argenta group has a strong familiarity and cohesion, so they often do not welcome outsiders. Neria smiled and replied, isn't that better than death? I only follow the person worthy of the title Aloes, I will adapt and endure in any environment. As soon as Croya heard this, she smiled and said, if it is determination, then I very much welcome it. As soon as the words left her mouth, she secretly thought, the problem is, the others do not seem to trust Neria much. The knight suddenly interjected, let us go separately from here. We will accompany Neria. Hearing this, Croya had no choice but to agree. The knight politely said, Mr. Neria, please cooperate during the inspection. Neria quickly replied, yes. The knight announced, we will depart immediately. As soon as they left, Croya was thoughtfully thinking, to integrate Neria into Argenta. It seems that method is the best. I have to write the magical contract that Mirta wrote. That is what she was planning with Neria. Returning home, Croya said seriously, Diello, I have something I want to ask of you. Diello immediately agreed, yes, Croya, just say it. Croya said, the magical contract of Argenta that Mirta wrote, can I write it too, because I need to change the content to make it suitable for me and Neria. As soon as he heard this, Diello was very surprised. Could it be that you plan to sign the contract directly? Croya explained, yes, it is also something to prove that Neria can be completely trusted, and because we have to use Neria's abilities accurately, moreover, if we want to be accepted by the people in Argenta, then the contract is very necessary. After listening for a while, Diello expressed his worry, Croya, I know clearly, but the contract is very heavy, although it is heavy, it is also very scary. Croya immediately replied, I know that. But the upcoming meeting, even after the meeting, the other two families will be curious about whether Diello's Lily has disappeared or not. Diello immediately suggested, then I will make the contract. This made Croya very surprised, yes, why would Diello make that, this isn't Alo's problem. Diello calmly explained, it is also to hide the Lily of the Argenta family, so that is why I. However, before he could finish speaking, Croya interrupted, no, be quiet, the contract only needs Mirta's name. Then she ordered, PL, prepare the contract with Neria for me right now. PL quickly received the order, I understand. Meanwhile, Croya was still pondering in her thoughts. After making the contract, I must immediately receive Neria's help, there is not much time left. After a while, PL brought two contracts, this is the contract of Argenta. As soon as he held it in his hand, Neria said, I have heard the explanation about the contract, but seeing it with my own eyes is even more magical. Croya immediately replied. That is right, because this is a skill that does not exist in Alo's, please read it carefully. On the contract it clearly stated, the person named Neria, who will stamp with blood on this contract, is not allowed to reveal any secrets of Croya, the contracting party. Must offer absolute loyalty, in return Croya will do everything in her power to protect Neria from the Alo's house, and shoulder the responsibility of accepting Neria as a member of Argenta. If anyone violates the contract, then that person's life will be taken back by the power of Alo's. After reading it, Neria spoke up, I understand clearly. Croya immediately reminded, Mr. Neria is not allowed to use weapons until the contract is complete. PL standing behind at this time suddenly spoke up, therefore, I will help proceed with the contract. Neria replied, I understand. In the next second, he signed the contract with his blood. While wiping his bleeding hand, Neria said, I have finished signing. PL held the knife in her hand, turned around and asked, Miss, I will help you proceed. Croya sitting on the chair quickly replied, no, I will do it myself. As soon as she finished speaking, she secretly thought, it seems it is less scary if I do it myself. It will be fine. Diello sitting on one side worriedly reminded, Croya, be careful. As she ran the knife across her hand, Croya's face turned pale, thinking, the knife is sharper than I thought, just touching it a little cut too deep. Seeing this, Diello hurriedly asked, Croya, are you okay? Let me see. Croya reminded, wait a bit, let me finish doing it first. After signing the contract, she spoke up, okay. Immediately, the contract took effect. The contract has been completed. While wiping the blood for Croya, Diello spoke up, the contract will react depending on the elemental power, like the contract that was burned when Mirta broke the contract. Croya said, if Neria breaks the contract, he will disappear in the water. At this moment, Neria sitting opposite suddenly bowed his head and said, then, I hope to have your help from now on. While looking at him, Croya called out, Neria. Although it is a bit sudden, but, you have something to do right now. This made Neria extremely curious, yes, what is it? Croya replied, hide the lily of the Duke of Argenta. As you know, I am not Pharaoh, so I can't remove the lily petals, the meeting of the three families is coming up soon, so hurry up. I truly came at the right time. After listening for a while, Neria filled with a cheerful and relaxed smile said, I know, I will try to do it right away. Meanwhile, Diello was bandaging Croya's wound. Croya, the wound is deeper than I thought. Croya seemed to agree with this, it seems to be true. You will be treated by Nias, and Diello smilingly interjected immediately, in the meantime, I will erase the lily with Neria, do not worry about this. Hearing this, Croya also quickly stood up and left. Neria, I am counting on you, Neria gently said, yes, do not worry too much. Diello seemed to still have a face filled with regret looking at Croya. However, in the next second, it changed 360 degrees. Diello's face at this time was extremely cold. This made Neria could not help but be wary and confused. What is it? The atmosphere. Diello coldly spoke up, on the way here, it seems that my wife has explained some parts. But Argenta does not welcome outsiders. Because you wrote the contract, you will receive trust to a certain extent, but that is it. I will examine you in my own way. And also, suppose you are the one who harms my wife and Argenta. I will be merciless with you." As he spoke, Diello's eyes flashed with a strange danger. In Neria's thoughts, sensing instinctively. That was the image that Diello Argenta had shown before, only the predator has that leisure. The image I have seen until now, all of it is a lie, I can't understand it other than that someone intentionally hid it. As soon as he thought of this, Neria spoke up, "Master, do you know your true self?" Diello was silent and did not answer this question. Then he pondered in his own thoughts, "Strange, I have lied to countless people, including Croya, now I feel hesitant. More precisely, it is uncomfortable to deceive Croya. When did it start?" At that time, Croya smiled and looked at him and proposed, "Let us get married, just for a year." Even bolder. Even deeper, "Let us try to love each other." The more he remembered, the more Diello thought, even though I know it is just acting, I still feel ambitious. I want to be closer to you. I want to have you. I want to receive all your love, I want to seduce you, with the original image of Diello Argenta. While he was lost in thought, Neria's voice rang out again, "Do you think you will continue to deceive the master?" Diello calmly replied, "Let us just assume that is the case for now. But deceiving the madam is the same." As soon as he heard this, Neria fell silent. He stood up and said, "Please show me the lily, I will erase it with magic." Diello slowly took off his shirt. In the next second, he revealed the lily on his body. Diello approached and asked, "How is it? Can you do it?" The lily on his body showed every detail clearly. The more he looked, the more Neria thought, "So this is the Duke's lily, I can feel the strange magic for sure." Then he quickly affirmed, "It is completely possible." "Then, let us start right away." Diello replied, "Okay." In the next second, Neria reached out to him. His power slowly blurred the lily on Diello's body. The lily immediately disappeared afterwards. This could not help but make Diello very surprised. Then he spoke up, "It is done." So the madam was telling the truth. He put on his shirt and said, "You worked hard." At this moment, Neria suddenly interjected, "I want to say one more thing." This made Diello could not help but be suspicious and confused. As he walked forward, Neria continued to say, "I will eliminate everything that harms the master. Even if that is the Duke of Argenta," Neria affirmed confidently to Diello. As soon as he heard this, Diello smiled and replied, "Okay. Just sacrifice your life according to the contract." Neria, on the contrary, was still calm before this statement, and left while saying, "Even if I do not say it directly, I will do it that way, then, please excuse me for going first." As soon as he was alone, Diello secretly thought, "The thing that I do to harm Croya will absolutely not exist." "Absolutely," Diello affirmed with certainty. Gentle sunlight fell on the ancient castles. Croya's voice rang out softly, "Oh my God, really?" The wound on her hand had been treated. Croya smiled and said, "So you have hidden Diello's lily, that is really fortunate, Mr. Neria's contribution is very big." PL slowly replied, "Yes, but only one flower has been hidden." She heard this and said, "Compared to erasing all the lilies to deceive the two families, not having one looks more natural. So it is okay. I feel more relieved now, I can attend the meeting peacefully, and I just need to sign the Daisy Forest contract." PL saw Croya smiling brightly and said, "Madam, I also need to report a related matter." "What is it?" she said. "The transaction has been broken because the buyer bought Daisy Forest at a higher price." She heard this and froze, as if she had just heard something earth-shattering. Croya hurriedly put the teacup down on the table and asked, "What, right before signing the papers, what is this case of no business ethics? Who on earth is it?" At this moment, Diello gently opened the door of the room, on his lips still a cheerful smile. He asked in a low voice, "Croya, can I come in?" Croya saw him and did not show any surprise. "You also came in first today." Diello quickly noticed her gloomy expression. "Why is the atmosphere so serious?" "I will come in later," she replied. No need, it is okay." Diello asked with concern, "Your face is dark, could something be wrong?" Croya sighed softly, "Yes." She sadly put her face down on the table. "Someone found and bought the forest that I had my eye on and was planning to buy for a long time." He was a little surprised by this. "The matter, so that is it." He looked down, "But why are you planning to go into this forest?" Croya, tears streaming down, while sobbing and replying, "Because later that forest was dredged with canals and became very prosperous. It is directly related to my peaceful old age." It turned out that was just the answer in her mind. Croya sighed again, "Those words can't be said. Anyway, that place is very far from Elos and Cardiel. So the risk of being attacked is very low. Most importantly, there is a very big river in the forest, the air is also good, and it is quite quiet, so it is a suitable place to live. Of course, there will also be trouble due to monsters." She put her hand on the map on the table. "But because there is a big river inside the forest, dealing with monsters is not a problem." Diallo heard this and twitched his lips, looking thoughtful. He pointed to the map. There is a river. The air is also good, a very quiet place to live. What about this place? Croya frowned, her whole body trembling. This place. She angrily shouted, it is the forest in the Argenta area. Diallo smiled playfully, it is similar to the conditions that Croya gave. I am afraid that Pharaoh who is coming soon will definitely not be happy to know that I am still staying in Argenta. He immediately promised, I will try to persuade her. So do not worry, she frantically refused. No, in her heart she thought, you are so kind that I feel like a con artist. Immediately afterwards, Diallo took 2 letters from his pocket. But, Croya. The family heads will come to the Argenta villa tomorrow morning, so that is the letter reporting that they have entered the Argenta territory. Croya quickly took the letter, looked at it once. Finally, tomorrow is coming. The 2 looked at each other, saying in unison, our goal is to distract the opponent. Just follow what we have always done is fine. Outside, the beautiful sunbeams were still dancing on the ancient castles, illuminating everything. Soon it was the day of the meeting. The cardial carriage arrived first. The sound of the carriage rumbled across the paved roads. A pair of slender, strong legs stepped out of the carriage. The shiny leather shoes, without a trace of dust, touched the ground. The man stood in the middle. On either side of him were 2 beautiful girls. Already the atmosphere of the 2 was hot. Siete smiled politely. I congratulate you again on the smoothness of Argenta. Diallo and Croya stood opposite and smiled in reply. Thank you, you must have been tired from the long journey. We will guide you to the accommodation to relax. I know, then, see you at the hall. Croya glanced to the side, asking herself, what is this? She looked at the blue-haired girl standing next to Siete. Who is that child? Duke Salil and Pharaoh are actually business partners. Everyone knows that their relationship only exists to pursue the prosperity and power of Cardial. So it seems that it is not Mr. Siete's daughter. So who is this child after all? At this moment, a gentle stream of energy flew towards Croya. She immediately startled in surprise. She turned her head, thinking, it is here. Duke Alos. In a luxurious carriage, Duke Alos slowly stepped down. He smiled and reached out his hand to ask, Croya, are you living well? She replied a little slowly, of course. He continued to ask Diallo, Duke Diallo is still well. Alos' eyes became sharper, looking straight at him. Diallo was not afraid, he smiled and said, yes, thanks to that, I am also very well. Alos secretly sensed the magic in his body. He twitched his lips and thought, Pharaoh's magic has decreased, that is. Too fortunate, he stepped towards him, using the opportunity to feel Diallo's entire body. Saying that, Alos turned his head to look at Croya, then I will go in first, Croya. See you later. He moved closer to her, putting his hand on her back, secretly transmitting magic. Diallo standing beside her frowned tightly at the sight. Croya's face immediately turned pale, sweat pouring down continuously. She thought, use the force of water to create pressure on the wound on my back. Diallo hurriedly supported her swaying body. Croya. He asked in a low voice, are you okay? Croya struggled to reply, I am okay, I can endure it. Alos became even more pleased, although he said words of concern, his mouth twitched to his ears. Oh my god, my daughter looks too stressed, it would be better for you to rest before the meeting. Otherwise. It has been a long time since I have seen my daughter, so I should at least say hello, right? Pentas standing next to him also smiled and said, of course. Dad, in his heart he felt very dissatisfied, she is cold to death and still say hello. She saw this scene and frowned, thinking, the expression is getting worse and worse. Pentas is good at disguising, even when Dad is pressing me with the power of Alos. He still makes it look like it is a legitimate thing, damn it. Alos and Pentas separated, each going in a different direction, talk and then come back, yes. He walked over to Croya, the relationship seems good, Croya. She frowned looking at his face that was close, wondering, aching symptoms. Can also withstand Pentas's power. Pentas took Croya's shoulder, using magic on her wound, just like Alos did, rest. He twitched his lips gloomily, see you later. Diallo worriedly supported her, Croya, are you okay? Her eyes were empty, her mouth was still answering, yes, I am okay. In her heart she thought, there is nothing, at all. Pentas Alos' power, is equal to mine. If there is a strong water control ability that threatens someone with a weak water control ability then. It is the principle of a kind of power that makes people only know how to endure. Pentas Alos is the person who has been designated as the next family head. I thought that compared to me, he has a stronger water control ability. But, there is nothing at all. In this villa full of scattered sources, not only does the water not make things difficult for me. On the contrary, it makes me feel comfortable. Croya smiled gently, clearly, the water control ability of me and Pentas Alos is not much different. Diallo saw her lost in silence and became more worried. Croya, are you really okay? She smiled brightly and looked at him, better than I thought, I probably just need to rest a little before the meeting, but in her heart she was still calculating. Although I was not damaged by Pentas Alos, I was still affected by Duke Alos. Let us go soon. Change scene, it was gradually getting dark, the sunset filtering everywhere. In the meeting room of the villa, this time both families had no problems with Cardiel's defenses. But monsters that can use magic have appeared, there have not been any such monsters in Alos. Diallo said seriously, monsters that use magic have also appeared in Argenta, similar to in Cardiel. Siete heard this and was surprised. He spoke up, if I had not awakened Pharaoh and a monster that used magic had appeared in the desert, then a big brawl would have occurred, surely even Duke Diallo would have had difficulty, and if he had asked us for assistance, I had planned to send troops to support. But Duke Diallo's ability to control fire seems to be superior to what is known. His words were full of implication, although he was smiling, there was no hint of a smile. Diallo and Croya startled and thought, a sharp attack. Through his gentle voice and calm expression, the coldness was still clear. The Cardiel family head is no ordinary opponent. I can't let my water control ability be exposed. It took Diallo a while to continue. Because of those monsters, I had difficulty on the battlefield. Siete said casually, it is rumored that the Duchess of Argenta also participated in that battle. Yes, that is right. Duke Alos and Pentas frowned at this, looking over at the same time. Croya touched her wound lightly, gently saying, but, I used my original power to temporarily stop it. That is the ability of Alos, to use life to create a powerful force in a moment, and that power is stored in the user's blood. Argenta's Berserk, using the whole body to burn and explode power, is also a form of original power. Unlike Alos, Argenta's Berserk cannot be stopped. But the similarity is that the greater the danger, the greater the power. She looked down at her bandaged hand, thinking, on the battlefield that even the Argenta family head could not handle, it is reasonable for me, who possesses insignificant power, to use my original power. By the way, thanks to the contract with Neria, my hand was also deeply injured, so the story fits. Croya smiled and continued, this is the first time I have gone to the battlefield, and the first time I have used my original power. I opened my eyes and saw myself on a soft bed. Who knew Diallo would bring me to safety like that? Diallo gently took her hand, you have worked hard, Croya. She heard that and secretly praised, excellent, your acting as a sweet couple is good, Diallo. His face was full of pity mixed with helplessness, you really, worked hard. Croya saw this expression and was stunned, in a flash she blushed, it is okay not to act so real. Pentas chuckled, the Duke of Argenta seems to really love my sister a lot, even so, it is lucky you were not injured. Croya thought, what, not injured? Using the original power that cost lives caused me serious damage, worthy of being the son of Duke Alos. Of course, I did not really use it, Diallo said sternly. Croya used the original power that cost lives. As a result, she had to lie in bed for a long time. She could not help but be surprised by his words. Diallo looked angry and asked, so you must say those words, Mr. Pentas. Pentas immediately blushed with embarrassment, quickly denying it, no, of course I am also worried. Diallo did not soften, his sharp eyes still stared at him. Croya also blushed, she was constantly surprised. Siete sitting on one side secretly observed their expressions, in his heart he seemed to be secretly calculating. Pentas shyly said, I misspoke. Duke Alos next to him hurriedly interjected to ease the situation, if that is done, the meeting seems to be over, it is best if we go straight to the party. Diallo immediately stood straight up, the evening sunset shining through the glass door directly on him, I know, I will move there now. Croya could not take her eyes off him, she blushed and thought, why is he so sensitive? Afterwards, everyone went together to the banquet hall, now everyone was sitting to enjoy dinner, even the endless sea has seafood, surprisingly delicious. It is the same as harvesting food in the endless forest of Alos. Laughter echoed everywhere. Croya was standing on one side, holding a glass of wine in her hand, secretly observing her surroundings. The atmosphere is still moderate, it is said that during the talks. Keeping peace is an unwritten law, it seems to be true. At this moment, a tender voice suddenly rang out, Croya Alos, oh no, Ms. Croya Argenta, she heard the voice and turned her head to look at the sound. The blue-haired girl who was with Siete politely said, hello, my name is Ellen Cardiel, the child. Croya also quickly recognized, isn't she the one who was standing next to Duke Siete just now? She smiled and replied, nice to meet you. Ellen smiled happily, I am also very happy. Croya slowly walked to a nearby table, the girl also followed along. Actually, I had something I wanted to ask you just now, she asked softly, what is it? The girl looked hesitant. I really do not know if I should or not, it is okay, just try it. She secretly thought, if I can say it, I will answer everything. Ellen blushed, stammering and saying, my uncle said that, even if two people are married, it will take time to truly love each other. I also heard that the relationship between Argenta and Alos was not very good in the past. Croya smiled but was a little confused, uncle, this child has the Cardiel surname, so why is she calling Siete uncle? Could it be a collateral bloodline? What you said is not wrong. The girl continued to ask, so are Ms. Croya and Duke Argenta really in love? Speaking to this point, a series of eyes looked over at the same time, everyone was just waiting for her answer. Croya also completely did not expect the girl to ask so bluntly, a shocking statement, everyone was aware of this moment. At this moment, Diallo suddenly stepped forward, he smiled and put his hand on her shoulder. If we did not love each other then, just being this close would be uncomfortable, Miss Ellen. Ellen blushed with admiration, her mouth eagerly asking more. Then, when did Ms. Croya fall for Duke Diallo? Croya immediately fell into thought. She slowly remembered the time the two of them faced each other on the sea, the gentle sunset shining on both of them. She recalled and answered, we fell in love on Mull. Diallo very tacitly continued, it seems that the moment only had the two of us. She heard this and secretly thought, I do not know about us either, if he says us, then Diallo must have also fallen for me. He looked at her with gentle eyes. I also first knew that day, that the one who used to be an enemy, can now also look different. Afterwards, before the eyes of everyone, he hugged Croya tightly, she is gorgeous and beautiful, making it impossible for me to take my eyes off her. Guests witnessed this scene and all cheered excitedly, everyone's face turning red. Duke Alo smiled and raised his glass of wine, come on, for the newlywed couple who are extremely romantic. Raising glasses, the sound of clinking glasses echoed throughout the hall. Croya was still blankly looking at Diallo's face, what is it? She blushed and thought, it seems that he really likes me. The two went to a fairly deserted corner, talking to each other in a low voice, this time in Argenta. Or in the desert, there are also magic monsters. Croya said softly, Diallo, earlier at the meeting, you got angry, and stood up. It seems that you really got angry, she blushed and looked at him. Diallo smiled gently, he whispered in her ear, of course it was real. Croya worriedly reminded, but you getting angry like this, can attract attention instead, you were so surprised that I got angry. She could not help but remember his face at that time, looking like he was really angry. Diallo gently put his hand on her face, if they say I am not like myself anymore. Afterwards, before Croya's innocent eyes, he lowered his body, it is because I have sunk into you so much that I can't keep a clear head. To the point that I can't see anything around me, the two people's lips were only 1 centimeter apart. Croya still had not realized the current situation, while Diallo continued to say, to the point that I am boldly unlike Diallo Argenta. Only because I am too fascinated with you, saying that, he placed a light kiss like a dragonfly skimming over her lips. Only a second later, Diallo quickly left. He smiled and looked straight into her sparkling eyes. Croya was so shocked that she dropped the glass in her hand, her head was completely blank, have we both gotten drunk? I feel like his actions are all sincere, it is just acting. It is just acting. She shyly covered her mouth. It seems I am drunk from something hotter than wine. Change scene, the sky was completely night, the full moon was shining down on the world. Pentas, can you also feel it? At the Alos family villa, the Duke twitched his lips and said, the magic of the lily has decreased. Pentas smiled and replied, yes, I also see it. He excitedly laughed, Croya, that was a success. The girl has fascinated Diallo Argenta. Pentas raised his eyebrows and said, when the lily starts to disappear, Diallo Argenta, as the family head, will soon be unable to awaken properly. Alos was immensely proud, his whole body exuding cunning and plotting, this time, the Argenta family will end. If I kill all those who have the Argenta bloodline, and I, Kellius, the family head of the Alos line, obtain the essence of Argenta's power. There will be a strongest family head, dominating both the water and fire. Pentas also calculated with interest, at that time, pushing back Siete Cardial, who was once praised as the strongest, will be nothing, but then. But he frowned slightly and asked, even if we use the power of the source, will Croya, who can't even handle a glass of water, be able to stop the sea monster? Alos was quite concerned about this issue, depending on how much power she draws from the source, but I am a little suspicious about that part. Then, he whispered an order to the attendant standing outside the balcony, go and immediately reply, ask Croya how much power she has used from the source. I understand. In an instant, the attendant vanished. Pentas said sternly, continuing, she will have to check how much of Diallo Argenta's lily has disappeared. Alos asked back, are you going to ask Croya directly? He immediately replied, no, looking back at what happened at the Alos manor, it is hard to believe. Isn't it possible she is deliberately lying to gain our trust? He agreed with this, that is also true. Then what are you planning to do? Alos looked at Pentas, that. He smirked and said, just take off Diallo Argenta's clothes. At this time, in the bedroom, Croya and Diallo were lying on the bed, smiling at each other. Now we just need to get through the last day of the meeting, right? You have worked hard, Croya. Just then, loud footsteps and voices rang out outside. Hearing this, she asked, at this hour, it seems like something urgent. Diallo immediately got up and went to the door, let me go see. He asked the two servants outside the door in a low voice, what is the matter? The servant stammered, the thing is. The attire that you have to wear tomorrow has disappeared. Hearing this, he was slightly taken aback. Croya in the room was also surprised. The meaning of wearing new clothes and attending the banquet is to erase old feelings and start with a new mindset. That is the last part of the meeting. But you were saying the attire has disappeared, he said silently. There is no time to think carefully and remake the attire like at headquarters. Let us try to find a tailor around here. The two servants replied in unison, we understand. Then, he closed the door and went inside the room. Croya got up and asked, Diallo, what exactly is this? He was also calculating in his mind, until now, I have never lost attire even once. If the formal attire disappears, then of course we have to call a new tailor, and to remake the attire, we would definitely have to measure my body again. It is suspicious that this happened. Especially since Eloise is also curious about my Lily. She frowned worriedly, could it be the Eloise house? Yes, perhaps he intends to use the tailoring of the formal attire to see if there is a Lily. As expected, they will use people to check in every way. That is the despicable way Eloise would do it, she thought to herself, even though I have erased one Lily thanks to Neria's ability. I should not let the enemy see an opening. Before long, a tailor wearing pajamas hurriedly rushed over. He said anxiously, it has been a long time since I tailored such precious formal attire. The formal attire has to stand out. I am not sure I can do it, plus there is less than a day left. Croya asked in a low voice, this situation is urgent. How many years of tailoring experience do you have? He replied, 47 years, madam. That is more than enough, then let us start now. The tailor was dumbfounded and did not know what to do, yes, no, but. She smiled and continued, of course, the price has to be clear. We will pay whatever you ask, even if it is dozens or hundreds of times more. The tailor was immediately fascinated, his eyes gleaming with greed at the sight of money. Can you do it? Croya asked seriously. The tailor firmly guaranteed, I will do my best with my 47 years of experience. After that, a long line of formal attires was brought into the room. A group of servants respectfully greeted them, it is a pleasure to meet the Duke and Duchess. The tailor was stunned to see the group of people, who are they? Croya heard this and asked, aren't they your tailoring assistants from your workshop? No, they are not. The servant smiled and explained, we are people who work at the tailoring workshops around here. We heard there was an emergency, so we came to help measure the formal attire. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the tailor, thinking, as expected, really. He walked closer to Diallo and said, well, I will start now, please help me everyone. The female servant smiled and replied, yes, we will start right away. Just then, Croya suddenly spoke up, wait a moment, I hate it when other people touch my things casually, so. I will measure it myself. Did you think I would let it go easily? She thought angrily, no way. Next to her, Diallo started unbuttoning his shirt without hesitation. The group of servants quickly looked away. Seeing this, she glared at them, where do you think you are looking? Diallo gently moved closer to her, Croya looked at him blankly. He gently placed a kiss on her hair. Then he whispered a reminder, just bear with it for a bit, Croya. Croya's heart was racing, as if 1,000 deer were running wild. Diallo ignored the people around him and continued to lean down, no matter where I am. His chin gently rested on her shoulder, or what I am doing. The tailor on the other side was blushing and quickly turned his head away. Diallo continued in a low voice, or even if I am working. Then I also belong to Croya. His shirt was completely removed, revealing a muscular six-pack body. Diallo just hugged her tightly. The servants were extremely excited, Your Highness the Duke, he has probably taken off his shirt already, I will pick up his shirt, no, I will. Dozens of eyes stared at his body at the same time. But there was absolutely no trace on Diallo's body. The group of people quickly left the room. Just then, a maid suddenly ran in to report, Master, a tailor has arrived at the mansion. She saw Diallo's naked body and blushed, her head full of question marks, already brought, the tailor, arrived already. Hearing this, Croya asked, the tailor, already brought them, the maid quickly replied, because I was not sure, I brought the tailor to the mansion as quickly as possible. She is coming so early, the tailor looked at her with tears in his eyes, then what about me? Diallo smiled and said to him, because maybe my new formal attire won't match Croya's dress, how about tailoring Croya's dress now to match my formal attire? But she frowned slightly and asked, that is a good idea, but, the time is too short, is it possible? Rick, holding Emily in his arms, appeared brightly and replied, completely possible. Croya was surprised to see him, Rick suddenly. Along with the person who was presumed to be a tailor being dragged out after sleeping, she said blankly, I understand. I will measure the final dimensions. It seems like he has solved the job in his own way. You two should cooperate on the design. The tailor and Emily looked at each other at the same time, their faces in shock. Croya looked at the tense atmosphere and thought worriedly, although it is very busy, maybe it has been resolved. She held the tape measure in her hand, Diallo, I will measure your final measurements. The tailor then said, now, please measure the neck and chest. Croya gently wrapped the tape measure around Diallo, blushing and thinking, the neck is thick and long, it is really too different from a girl's. She said softly, Diallo, I will measure your chest now, hold your arms up. In her heart, she was extremely flustered, it is just measuring, why am I so nervous? Hearing this, he reached out his hand, like this, yes, wait a moment. She was almost pressing her face against his chest, and slowly reached out behind his back. Diallo unexpectedly cried out softly when the tape measure completely surrounded his chest. Croya asked, blushing, is it too tight? No. He reached out and hugged her face, because Croya is too close to me. Diallo's face also turned red, gently hugging her tightly. Everyone in the room, including Croya, was agape, their faces as red as tomatoes. She thought in panic, it is nice to play sweet games in secret. But was not that a bit too much just now? The maid coughed softly, the Duke's measurements are done, now we will measure the Duchess's measurements. Croya immediately instructed, please do it quickly. Diallo quickly put on his shirt next to her. He called out in a low voice, Croya. Hearing the sound, she immediately turned her head, yes, could it be? He held the tape measure in his hand, his face showing a grievance, and said in a green tea tone, are you planning to borrow someone else's hand to measure and not mine? Croya looked at him with wide eyes, instinctively replying, that, it is reasonable, then I will trouble you. She looked at Diallo who was getting closer and closer to her, she thought to herself. Diallo, his happy face was right next to her. Croya, her face red and her heart beating fast, commented, you are acting really well today. He continued to speak, but Croya, because you are wearing a dress, it is a bit difficult to measure, so. Take off your dress, Diallo said these words with an innocent face. Both Croya and Rick were shocked, completely unexpected by his words. Emily and the tailor were blushing, anyone who did not know would think they were having a fever. She replied shyly, okay, I guess I have to, in her heart, she thought, even if it is just acting, this is a bit too embarrassing. The tailor coughed awkwardly, Emily quickly said, then we will excuse ourselves for a moment. She pointed at the maids, after you help the Duke, remember to report the measurements of Miss Croya to me. They replied with wide eyes, yes, I know. Unexpectedly. Diallo refused directly, no, everyone please leave. Emily said blankly, yes, but. Before she could finish speaking, he interrupted, it is not just measuring. Diallo hugged Croya tightly, possessively warning, I hope I won't be disturbed. The group of people were scared away by his eyes, everyone went outside, I am being rude, everyone get out immediately. She saw that everyone had left and spoke up, Diallo, everyone is. He stopped her from saying more. Whispering next to Croya's ear, there are still Cardial's informants outside. She thought to herself, so it is a plot to eavesdrop on the conversation using the power of the wind. Croya cautiously said, until Cardial's informant returns, we have to leave some light responses behind, right, of course. He smiled and asked, then, do well, Croya, I will help you take off your attire first. Like this, yes. Outside, Rick and the servants of the mansion heard the sounds inside and were silent. Rick said to him with a green face, hey, I will report about the Duchess's measurements for them, so you can go back. He thought, don't eavesdrop cunningly, go back while I am still speaking nicely. But the servant replied with a forced smile, it is urgent, so I will wait here. He also thought, clearly more important information is needed here. Just then, some sounds that made people's faces red and their hearts beat faster rang out inside again. The two of them were startled to hear it. Stop, a little more, what is it, are they really doing it? The sounds were getting more and more intense, making everyone unable to be pure. Rick scratched his head, his mind blank, aren't the two of them in a contract relationship? If so, what will happen to the Parafake plan? In an instant, his face immediately became serious again, Arzenta is always right, the master is always right, everything he says is right. So a eavesdropper like you, must be dealt with. Rick looked straight at the servant, look here, sir. He gently put his hand on his shoulder, go first, while I am still using words, it is not fun to do that. Although I am completely happy but. The servant was frightened by his overwhelming magical power, his face turned pale and said, I know, so do not stand near here. The servant could not stay any longer, quickly running away from this place. Rick smiled brightly and thought, I have to report that Cardial's informant has left, right. Back to a few minutes earlier, in the room, Croya said softly, but Diallo. I am still fine since I am known as an evil woman but. Is it okay for you to be so proactive? Her face was already blushing at this time. She continued, if I think that Diallo's personality has changed to a proactive direction, our plan will make everyone less vigilant. Diallo, still holding the tape measure, replied calmly, it is okay, did you forget, Croya? I have already said it, just think that I am so obsessed with Croya that I do not know anything else. As he said, he pressed his body against her back. Croya's face was flushed red, her heart beating fast uncontrollably, panicking and thinking, is it because of the soft voice next to my ear, and Diallo's hand touched me for a moment. She quickly left his arms, stammering loudly, "Just do the part that I can't measure, I will take care of the rest." She thought, as expected, "It is too embarrassing, it is not okay." Croya bit her lip lightly, her eyes sparkling with an innocent red face looking straight at Diallo. Seeing this, he was stunned and stopped his hand. Then he smiled softly, "Yes, just do that, instead, let me take care of your wounds." He thought to himself, "You are so scared like a rabbit, I want to catch you and eat you." Then, Croya sat on the chair, Diallo next to her slowly dropped medicine into the wound on her hand, she screamed loudly in pain. Hearing her scream, he asked worriedly, "Is it very painful?" Croya replied painfully, "It really hurts a lot, you have not even dropped 2 drops yet." But Diallo teased and stroked her wound, she cried out. Croya's face turned green, and she said, trembling, "Okay, stop." He smiled and replied, "It is almost done, bear with it a little." Then, Diallo said to her in a low voice, "Rick signal, it seems that the Cariel informant has left." Croya breathed a sigh of relief, "Now I can finally breathe." She smiled and looked at him, "But, your acting seems to have improved a lot, Diallo, so many times that, I thought it was real." He smiled helplessly at her, "I am not very good at acting." Hearing this, Croya thought, "Too humble, I think he clearly has a talent for acting." So until the early morning, the formal attire for the party was completed safely, the final day of the meeting. The two of them wore luxurious formal attire, and walked into the banquet hall arm in arm. Finally, entering was the host of the meeting, Duke Arzenta Diallo and his wife. The whispers immediately rang out, "It is really too beautiful. Their formal attire is so beautiful, they are truly the best couple in the empire." Croya also agreed with their words, "In my opinion, the formal attire is quite beautiful, it was hastily made attire, their strength is really amazing." So now, all that remains is the final meeting event. Ending the meeting and the family hosting the meeting, after showing everyone the power of the family, and ending with a blessing of peace for the 3 families. Therefore, at this meeting, Diallo, as the host, must show his performance. Small flames flickered on the large chandelier in the middle of the hall. Diallo struggled to reach out his hand, controlling the flames. Unexpectedly, the flame on his hand went out in an instant. He frowned, his face turning red with embarrassment mixed with helplessness. Duke Alos, Pentus, and other nobles all laughed. But Siete and Pharaoh did not show any attitude, still looking at Diallo. The nobles continued to laugh, looking down on him, "So, until we meet again in 3 years." Diallo said softly, "We pray that peace between the 3 families will be maintained." Then, applause rang out, Croya thought silently, everyone is just clapping reluctantly. There is no reason why Diallo would deliberately be as clumsy as me. Anyway. The meeting full of words, enough trouble, finally came to a close. Duke Alos immediately stood up, "Then I will look forward to good news again." He replied politely, "Yes, please return carefully." Siete also stepped forward and said, "We will also take our leave first." Diallo immediately turned his head to look at him, "Mr. Cardial." He gently reminded, "Go carefully." Siete smiled and added, "But, Mr. Arzenta. It seems that you are no longer afraid of fireworks now." The smile on his face quickly changed, his eyes becoming cold. Hearing this, Croya frowned and thought to herself, what is that case?